Sleep. Deep sleep. Deep sleep. I will never forget her. In my dreams is where I met her, with a scarlet dress. I confessed her beauty. Being new to me, my virginity was gone. I loved her and kept on doing whatever she wanted, because I was haunted by her touch, such as nothing I felt before. I adored her every move, her soft, soothing voice. I had no choice. I developed a lot of bad habits, all because she just had to have it. If she dangled it, I would grab it. But I didn't know she was playing me, all the while praising me with awards of platinum and gold. In fact, I was sold on her delicacies, because of the rebel in me wanting to be free, easy. I just knew this love was the way, until she told me I had to pay to play. Wait, did my ears just hear all my fears? Yeah, she was getting down with other clowns when I wasn't around to be found. See, upon his belly she crawls, pleasuring kings, domes, and halls, and compassing through grand ballrooms, she consumes all. Riding with a tight grip, she straddles and moves those hips, using all positions, until her new prospect is whipped into submission. Her victims are led in the worst way, seals their head on the first day, steals the dead from their wallets and purses, then turns to say, I love you. Her tale first drew a third part of them, and all I can do is stare at how many men wake up. As these dreams rocked me into a nightmare, my alarm clock was right there ringing, trying to wake me up. But I drank too much from her cup that runneth over, so I had to get sober. Wake up, Asa. Finally I awake to see all of the fake promises she made, all the while I was being raised. The biggest game ever played, the biggest game. See, somewhere around 33 she gave me a degree, but it became clear to me of all her secrecies. So I dipped out and I flipped about a 180. Started reading for myself, stopped listening to the prosperity promises of wealth and instantaneous miraculous health. Opening my eyes to her, I got wiser, and I started to despise all of her fruits of lies and put them back on the shelf. See, this was the whore imitating the wife, death trying to imitate life. Every now and then she gives me a call, but I have to remind myself, don't fall for that. She's just trying to get you back. Sometimes I do reminisce on our first kiss, but I don't miss her, because she reminds me every time she opens her mouth why I had to get out. Don't get me wrong, she's a great roll in the hay, but that was never enough to make me stay with her. See, now I see the great picture, because my eyes heard the alarm. Wake up. And I awakened from my deep sleep.
everybody. Happy Sabbath. All glory to the Father in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, share, start a watch party, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. The show's going to start approximately a minute. All right? Peace, Jesus.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake! Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake!
Good morning, everybody. Happy Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom. Shalom. Peace in the mighty name of Jesus. All glory to the Father. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Wake Up Show. Got a good lesson we're going to have today. This is a Wake Up Show featuring the Walls of Jericho. We got one of the brothers here from Walls of Jericho. Got another one on standby. And the other one that's monitoring that couldn't make it, could you please go over to the YouTube channel and monitor from there? Because I put this lesson, I promoted this lesson in a couple of you know the groups.
Right.
So
yeah.
There's probably going to be some things said, and I definitely need you over there, bro, to monitor. All right. So before we get started, let's open up with these lessons. Let's open up with these scripts, and then I'm gonna introduce someone you guys already probably know anyway. But let's go ahead and start this show. We're gonna open up to Isaiah 28, verse 9 through 11, which is perfect because of the title today. All right. So go ahead and start reading it verse. But test it out real quick. Make sure.
Testing.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
All right. So go ahead and let's all start reading it. Isaiah 28, verse 9 through 11. Go ahead and read.
Verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
So we know that the who is actually the Lord. But who is he going to teach his knowledge to? We know that that is the nation of Israel. Those are the priests. What he said in Exodus 19 is that you will be a nation of priests. And if you follow my rules, you will be saved. And if we were to go out to teach the other nations the same rules, they could be saved as well. But right here, he's specifically talking about the nation of Israel. Go ahead and read.
For precept must be upon precept,
Mhm.
precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little.
There's a certain organization that we're dealing with today that likes to tell people you can't teach the word of God like that.
You precept packaging.
Yeah. But this is what the Lord said to do. For precept must be on precept, line on line, here a little and there a little. You can read this book from Genesis all the way to Revelation. But the thing is, the Lord has so many other messages that once you're reading through, you be like, I remember reading that someplace else. And now the Lord is helping you precept on precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, to understand the knowledge. That's the whole thing. So if anybody ever tells you you can't do that precept stacking and all that, listen to what the book is telling you, not what they telling you. This is what the Lord said to do. How are we supposed to? Well, let's go into verse 11. I'm sorry.
Verse 11. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
So with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. Now, what was the context from verse 9? Who's he going to teach? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. That's the nation of Israel. So in verse 11, for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. He's not speaking about the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's talking about for stammering lips and another tongue, that means he's talking about other languages. So y'all excuse me, this phlegm's starting to mess with me. But when it comes to speaking to his people, we could have taught the world in other languages right there in Israel, like we were doing in Solomon's days. But because we messed up, we got spread around the world in ships, what we're going to talk about today, and we had to learn everybody else's language, but he still taught us in their language. Now, if you could keep reading, which we're not going to do, he's also saying that, I spoke to him, but they still weren't listening to me. But he spoke to us. It's what I'm saying when it comes to the different languages. So he said, for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. This doesn't necessarily mean, my Hebrew brothers, that it's only in Hebrew. Because we have people that will sit up and say, you ain't going to understand and learn none unless it's in Hebrew. You can learn Hebrew all you want to, but y'all hear me say all the time, you can learn Hebrew, but don't turn around and start telling other people you ain't going to understand unless you speaking in Hebrew. Brother Elijah did that lesson last night on the name of God.
Got down.
Same man, got down with it too. Yeah, you're right. But the thing is, there's Hebrewz now that will say you don't understand nothing because you're doing it in the English. Well, guess how we're going to be teaching today?
In the English.
In the English. Let's go to Isaiah 8, verse 20. Because he taught us, his priests, nation of Israel, and how are we supposed to teach? Go on and read verse 20 for me.
Verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So
that means his priests. Let's also remember, Christ was an Israelite as well. Paul was an Israelite as well. And they taught from the old and the new. They taught how? To the law and to the testimony. All right, because remember, Paul testified of Christ. Christ testified of the Old Testament, but he's telling us right here we have to teach to the law, which is the commandments, laws, and statutes, and the testimony. And if someone doesn't do that, there's no light in them. So you could be an Old Testament scholar, don't even want to have nothing to do with the New Testament. There's no light in you. Same thing with New Testament people. You don't want to teach from the law. You want to teach from the Old Testament. the Old Testament and the law. And some people gonna want to split that up. Well, I teach from I teach from Psalms and I teach from Proverbs, but no, you got to go to Genesis through Deuteronomy,
right,
and teach the law and the testimony. And if you're not doing that, there's no light in you either. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Revelation 14 and let's see who actually did this. Let's go to the end game. And then I'm going to add one more too. But let's read Revelation 14 and 12. Go ahead and read, bro.
Verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus.
So these people are the saints. So everyone that's screaming, saints, everybody that's sitting up screaming that they're a saint, no, you're not. If you're not keeping the commandments of God, the law, and the faith of Jesus, the testimony,
right,
you have to keep them both. That's what balance is all about. Now, because you are keeping the law and the testimony, here's a question that I have for those that say you don't have to keep the law. Let's go back to Revelation 12 and 17 and read this. Why is Satan coming after these people? Let's go ahead and read.
Verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman.
So Satan is upset with Israel and those that actually follow Israel. Go ahead and read.
And went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Why is Satan coming after those that keep the commandments of God?
Those are the saints.
That for those that keep saying that we don't have to keep the law of God, then why is Satan coming after people who are keeping the law of God? Food for thought. With that being said, let me introduce my brother here, one of my brothers. This lesson is called The Deception of Urban Apologists. I call it pseudo apologists now.
It's whatever,
because I'm like, why urban?
that always killed me. That really always killed me. Why urban? Like, what is urban except for the, our brothers and sisters that are over there being got the shades over their eyes over there, but I don't understand the urban part.
Because you have Christian apologists, then you have urban apologists.
Right.
So I'm like, man, why does that sound so divided? Why does that sound divided? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, the Christian apologists must be the Caucasian or Gentiles, but the urban apologists must be the blacks, Hispanic. Oh, I'm getting ready. I'm about to sound like I was getting ready to sound like somebody. So let me just keep it to us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even within this so-called apologist community, there's division there,
right,
with their own terms. But I'm not here to jump down. I'm here to let one of my brothers. I'm gonna bring in brother Ade too.
Come on in, brother.
Let me see. Let me unmute him. Brother Ade, are you there? You gotta unmute yourself, bro. Okay. I can't get him on. I mean, he's there, but he got to unmute himself because he probably can't.
I'm sorry. Hello?
Okay, there you go. You there, bro?
I'm sorry, family. I'm having connected.
Yeah, I see him talking, but I don't hear him. Maybe it's me. Maybe I've done this wrong. Who knows?
Can you hear me?
He should be there. Well, I cannot hear you, bro. Man, I'm kind of upset about this because it should be working. I got so many things hooked up. I probably don't have. We heard him earlier. All right, I can't hear you, man. So I'm gonna take it out. So we go ahead and start with this. I'm sure Brother Cassious will be able to handle all this. So I apologize, bro. We'll get with you later. So the Walls of Jericho is an organization started up by Brother Mikael Ben Israel, otherwise known as Hebrewz Hood on Facebook, and Hebrewz in the Hood on YouTube. All right, and he got a couple of brothers, but the main two I know he like to use. He call y'all the battle axe.
Yeah,
is Brother Cassious and Brother Ade. So here's Brother Cassious. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. First of all, shout out to my brothers, man. Hopefully, my brother Ade, he can chime in maybe in the comment section or whatever. But like he said, we are from the Walls of Jericho, Biblical and Historical Studies. Man, we've been together for a little minute, right? Little minute, and we're gonna keep working this vineyard, and we're gonna keep showing people who we are, man. Basically, showing the proof that Israel is the Afro-American and the Afro spread it all across the world. And this comes to my point. Well, first of all, let me give all honor and praises to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Holy One of Israel, who is Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this particular group has been on the scene for a while, right? Years. It's like their ultimate job is to make sure that we don't know who we are and we don't believe who we are. And then it gets even worse because they're not even teaching the commandments of God. I could see,
Right.
I could see if you were teaching the commandments of God, but you trying to do away with the law and do away with the original people that gave the law. And we about to stop this right now because honestly, I am tired of this. We've tried to sit down civilly with these people, but they keep taking sneak disses at us. So what we're gonna do is, this is not a debate. This is not gonna be no back and forth. We're gonna school teaching. We're gonna school people today. We're gonna school and we're gonna edify our people as well, right?
Before we get into that, there's some people that probably don't know what a Christian or urban apologist is.
Right.
You want to explain some?
So the best is
lean in some, man, so they can see you. There you go. You
first
good.
of all, let me look in the right direction.
Right, the camera.
So first of all, it's basically, to sum it up, make a long story short, it's a group out there that's trying to take down the Hebrew Israelites.
No, go ahead. You just reminded me something.
Their main antagonist, I should say,
right, that's what we call him,
is Vocab Malone. Y'all can go online and see him. And this is not to give him no type of fame or nothing. We just want to make our people aware of what's going on, so that when you run into these people, they're real crafty, right? And this is also going to make you get up on your studies, because these guys will go to Deuteronomy 28 and make you think that's the whole world. And you're not even dealing with the actual priests, the people that got spread all across the world in ships. Yes, Egypt does mean bondage. We're going to show that.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're just here to settle this, right? We're just here to settle this. We're here to get this over with. Because, like I said, as my brother said to me the other day, we want to smoke. So let's get to it.
All right.
So what we're going to show now is that we're going to show this video.
One sec. Go and keep talking. I'm trying to put some.
Go ahead and let my brother Ozza get his thing going. So we're going to put up this video that shows, everybody should know, especially if you watch like the Israel of God, they have Black history told by the prophets, slavery. And our beloved teacher, what he usually does is he shows us the kingdom of Judah in the slave coast, right? And so we should, if you've seen that, we should all be aware of that. So what these guys will do is they'll go over, and the kingdom of Judah, as far as the slave coast, is off the coast of Benin or Dahomey. And what these guys will do is that these guys will go to a village with 3 random people and just ask them, well, have you ever heard of this province being the kingdom of Judah? And they'll be like, no, I've never heard of that. Then they'll go to an elder, right? And they'll ask the elder, as if it's giving them more credibility, has he ever heard of it? And he will say no. Now, first and foremost, what you didn't do is that you never established what tribe these people are from to even classify them as Israelite, is coming from the Israelite people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have gone over there and talked to some Hamites and paid them off. You see what I'm saying? So we don't necessarily know these people's origin. So you can't necessarily say that they're Israelites, even though they're in Benin, even though there's a lot of Israelites in Benin, right? You can't just go to random people. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our own witnesses, and it's going to be more than 3. More than 3. So we're gonna shut this down and get this out of the way, because like I said, we're tired of the games. We're tired of people trying to knock us down. We already been lost for so long, right?
Right.
So it's no reason for y'all, if you actually are trying to help people and trying to save people from whatever you think we're in danger of, then do that. But if you got an agenda, it's about to be stopped. It's really about to be stopped, right? So, like I said, we're gonna show this video, and then we're gonna get into the lesson.
All right. Saving. Wait a minute. Which one you wanted? Oh, this one. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's this one.
Okay.
Right. Oh, and hold on. See, now we're having the same problem I had with our day. Hold on. And before we do get started with this, I want to make a disclaimer that all of this, what we're talking about, is for educational purposes only. Yeah, hold on. I think I see why it wasn't, because the music was still playing. All right. And now I know why. Hold on. You know what we're going to do? This is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to our day real quick. We're going to go back. As soon as I get this out of here. Yeah. I know why we don't hear our day. I know now. So let's take this out. Let's put this in. Ade, are you there? Brother Ade,
Yes,
are you still there?
Yes.
I can hear. Yeah, okay, there it is. Now I know why I wasn't in there. Okay, good.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
I know why I wasn't in there now. What's happening, Brother Ade?
Good morning, family. Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing?
All right, you're going to have to speak up a little bit louder. You know, I know your phone usually pick up your whole neighborhood, but it's like you're really low right now.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Let me see if I can put the names up.
For all don't know, this is my brother Ade Ben Judah Dawotola, one of the researchers on the Walls of Jericho. And this guy, like, if it wasn't for this guy, a lot of the stuff that we know now, we wouldn't even came across and even thought of. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer.
Yeah, because he's an actual teacher, right?
Right, an actual teacher, right. But I'm when he's ready, I'm going to let him introduce himself, you know.
Ade, you there?
I think it's muted.
Did I mute it? No, I didn't mute it. Hold on. Okay,
You
you there?
guys hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you. Go ahead, bro.
Yes, sir. Shabbat Shalom, family. Good morning, and all that. How you guys doing? My name is Dave Benjuda. And I'll take a little background for myself. Again, like I come from Israelite family from both sides of the world, east and the west.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad is from Nigeria, again, of the Yoruba tribe. From Ogun State to be specifically. And my mom is from Georgia, down south, Collins, Georgia, like a little town. They probably got one gas station and a stoplight. The whole town.
Right.
So yeah, that's a little back as far as my family. So like I said, we just want to prove our history and our heritage.
Right.
It's a lot of things in Hebrew culture that I learned just by talking to my elders and like you said, they talked to elders. Well, yeah, I did too. My elders.
Right.
Your elders here or there?
Both.
Okay, clarify that. Here and there.
Here and there.
Here and there.
Listening.
Here and there. Yes. So I just want to say that generations upon generations of people are lying. You know, like I said, I talked to them and they gave no rundown on my family.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot tell me that it ain't true.
Right.
We pass down everything orally. Orally, yes. This has been passed down from generation to generation. Like I said, I'm not gonna spill the beans yet because, like I said, I don't want to spill the beans yet because the cast is gonna put it together.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
As I'm going through this, you can chime in. Because like I said, we're gonna go through various tribes. Like I said, we got witnesses upon witnesses because we want to just end this. And by the time they look at this, and y'all still try to debunk this, it's going to get to the point where you're just going to look foolish because this thing is solid as a rock. You see what I'm saying?
Brother Cass, can you hit the spirit for me real quick before we get started? Real quick.
Go ahead.
Can you hit Deuteronomy 32:7?
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 32:7.
Yeah. So again, for those tuning in, please especially because that helps the what is it called, the algorithms, to spread it out even more so other people get notifications too.
All right, bro, I'm here.
Go ahead, bro.
This is Deuteronomy. This is Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee.
That's self-explanatory. That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's self-explanatory. Do I need to read that?
Nope.
No.
There's no interpretation.
Moses told.
Let's just say I did that. That's what I did.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
I'm just saying that, like I said, this don't have to be. I'm just saying that that's exactly what I did. I asked my father. I asked my grandfather.
Right.
And they told me what was going on. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that it's written right here. It is proof of oral traditions being taught.
Exactly.
From the book and from just what happened, because before we had all this technology, families sat down and talked to each other.
Right.
Before we had this technology, everybody sat down. Granddaddy, could you tell us about Moses and all that again? Come on, this ain't nothing new. But you want to get into this video now?
To the video.
Okay, so you do have, because I don't know, you do have the power to mute yourself, right, Ade?
Yes, I do. I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay, because we're gonna play this video. All right. Now I definitely know why I was. So here we go, everybody. Yeah. That was the last one. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. All right, just hold on one more second, y'all. Hold on. All right, we got a little mix-up going on. Let me I thought I had the right video. I don't have the right video. So what you might want to do then is do this while I try to find the right video. I thought this was the right video. So
okay. So this is
all right. So let me go here and get rid of this. Apologize about this, y'all. Okay, so let me go in here. Why are you doing that in you doing your first one?
Yeah.
All right, so let me put it up for people to read though.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this video after these scriptures because this still gonna go in order.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start this as Deuteronomy 28.
All right.
So this is the chapter where we all go to prove that we Israel. And even though I've said this in the previous lesson that we really don't need this, we can use this as a secondary source, but we don't need it to prove that we're Israel. And that's the point, right? We still need it, but we don't really need it to prove we're Israel, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read through Deuteronomy 28, and we're gonna focus on the captivity leading into it's going to lead to the transatlantic slave trade. So that's what we're going to do right now. So let's go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and we're going to start at
Hey guys, it's Neppy.
15.
Thank you for joining me today. As you guys know, I'm an urban apologist. I answer questions having to do.
Well, actually,
Hold on.
I don't know why it gave me another video when I did that. So, again, I apologize everybody for all this. So,
Right.
before we get started now, let me take that away because we can now do it the way it should be done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So, and there we go. Let me make sure it's all there. Let's open it up like this.
141.
Okay, so this is what we're going to start with just as soon as I get back to it. And y'all bear with me because this is my second time using this. So all right. So this is the video that
Right.
you want to explain it?
Yeah, so this
Okay.
is the video where this is a sister over there in the group, the Urban Apologists. And what she's doing is she's trying to ridicule the fact that the Kingdom of Judah in West Africa was based on the fact that Judah went down there, Israel went down there. So like there's books that she's going to show in here that we're going to use. But what's crazy is that are y'all reading this information? Do you see what these people are actually saying in this book? Because the stuff that they're saying is right. It don't matter if you try to ridicule it or not. What they're saying is true. So we're going to play this video and we're going to just kill this all together, right?
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, it's Neppy. Thank you for joining me today. As you guys know, I'm an urban apologist. I answer questions having to do with being Black and being Christian. So if you're Black and you're a Christian and you're living in the 21st century, you have most likely heard or come across a group who calls themselves either Hebrew Israelites or Black Hebrew Israelites. So first of all, there are several factions of Hebrew Israelites. They have varying beliefs between them, but the underlying current, the thing that holds them together, is the idea that the Bible speaks about prophecies that would happen to the children of Israel if they were disobedient to God, and that those prophecies have been fulfilled during the transatlantic slave trade.
To 41, right?
Their belief is that we, African Americans and the people in the diaspora, are the true children of Israel. In order to substantiate their claim, knowing that we come from West Africa, how are we supposed to be children of Israel and we from West Africa, we ain't from Jerusalem? The way they establish that is by basically coloring all of West Africa Hebrew. One thing that you will notice in their arguments when it comes to this subject is that they very frequently point to this particular map, which was issued in 1747. I'm going to show you a few clips of them pointing to this map and telling you what this is supposed to mean.
As you look, see where it says slave coast? We're going to get closer up for you so you can see that. You see where it says slave coast? Just above it. What does that say? Kingdom of Judah. Juda or Wida, yeah, which is another way of saying Judah, yeah, in a different language, right? Where it says slave coast.
All right, so y'all see what she's trying to put out there, right? That the Kingdom of Judah in the slave coast is not because that the Hebrew Israelites went down there. So if you can go to 454 on the video.
454.
Right. So now what she's going to do is she's going to bring in village people Random village people. Like I said, we don't know what tribe they are and none of that. Right?
Village people from the 70s?
Village.
Talk about YMCA? Come on, man. You sure she pulled up them old cats?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just playing, y'all.
No, but she pulled up these village people. And like I said, we don't know what tribe they're from. So how can you substantiate if they know that they're Hebrew Israelites, for one? And then we lost our identity. So it's going to be common for somebody to not know that they're Israel, just like over here in the Americas. We don't know. Not all of us know we're Israel yet, but it's coming. The time is coming.
Yes,
Continue,
sir.
my brother.
All right.
Among the inhabitants of Africa.
So basically what they're saying is, because this map says Kingdom of Judah, that means tribe of Judah. That means Hebrew Israelites. That means me, you, and all our mama them. We Hebrews. But what do the people of Benin have to say? You know, the people who actually live there.
In America, people say that Wida means Judah from the Bible. Is there any truth to that? Is there any truth, like, as a tribe outside of the phone called Hebrew Israelites? Have they ever came or settled here in Wida and called it Judah, but then changed the name back to Wida? Is there any truth to that?
I think now that is nonsense. Because we have nothing like Judah in our things. What when we hear Wida, you know, Wida, even the real name is Wida. Wida. Because the people who are living here in the former time are Wida.
Okay.
People who speak Wida.
Okay.
Now, when the settlers came, I mean the Europeans, talking about the French people, Portuguese, we have also America. We have different masters that time at colonial time. You know, so when they wanted to pronounce Wida,
right,
French people say Wida, and Portuguese say Judah. Other people say Wida.
Right.
So we have different spelling according to their maternal tongue.
Okay.
The maternal tongue of the settlers.
Okay.
So the real name of our city is Wida.
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 Okay.
Wida.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So you never heard of, and you can ask this to the elder.
Yeah.
Has the elder ever heard of a tribe called the Hebrew Israelites settling here in Wida and calling it Judah at one time?
They are surprised that they have never heard that name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing this, because there's a lot of misinformation and lies being spread in America.
Okay.
So we want to get.
All right. So y'all see this, right? So like I said, they go to these village people. It's two of them, and then you got the elders there as well, right? But once again, we don't know what tribe these people are, and we know that we lost our identity. So this is not surprising, right? So let's get into this. Let us go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter.
All right, so let me. Deuteronomy 28. All right, so 28th chapter.
Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 15.
All right. So y'all bear with me because I'm doing a lot.
Right,
Plus reading. All right.
Patience.
Yeah. Deuteronomy 28:15, you said?
Yeah, verse 15.
All right. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee.
And overtake thee. And
I'm sorry. Yeah, and overtake thee.
And overtake thee. So we know we're dealing with the curses, right? So we're going to get into what condition that these curses have us in, right? Skip down to verse 28 and go ahead.
28. And the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
So you got madness, blindness, and astonishment of heart. Blindness, they're blind, right? So you can't go to people and just think that they're going to know that they're Hebrew Israelites and they're going to know that their culture or whatever. As me and my brother Ade have always experienced, especially with the Yoruba tribe, they will know all of these customs, but they don't even know it comes from the Bible. So you can't even you cannot use this to say that the Hebrew Israelites were not in Benin or in the kingdom of Judah. Keep going, my brother.
29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt only be oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
So you're gonna grope, and you're gonna be blind and be in darkness and grope in the noonday, right? And you will not prosper in your ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. So we know that these conditions are falling on our people. But when we get into this deeper, we're going to see that these tribes in West Africa, in this region where they're saying, and in other regions, we're going to find out that we come from these people, and these conditions are on all of us, y'all. All of us, right? Skip down to verse 32.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
So we didn't just experience this in Americas. Before we got to America, our people in West Africa saw their children being taken from them, getting on the ships or whatever, being taken by the slave master. So this did not start in the Americas. It started in the West Africa. It started with West Africa as far as the transatlantic slave trade is concerned, right?
Right.
Skip down to verse 36.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, into a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
So we know this. You can bring this all the way back to Zedekiah, when Zedekiah got taken and Judah got taken, right? Because he was our last king as far as when we had our government, as far as Israel, right? But this can pertain to the kings in West Africa as well.
Teach.
This can pertain to that as well. There were kings that were taken in the West African coast, right? So
and were they called kings?
Yes, they were called kings,
okay.
or the Oba, you know,
chiefs.
as far as chiefs and
right.
all of these things, right? Keep going, my brother.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
So you shall become a astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the nations. And here's the thing that kills me with these people, right? Y'all will go and point out that these people are not worshiping the God of Israel. Didn't it say that we were going to be worshiping other gods? So you cannot use idolatry or none of these things to point the fact that they're not Hebrew Israelites. You're actually giving us a win over you, because idolatry is the main thing that got us in this position in the first place.
Serving other gods.
Serving other gods.
Yes,
so
sir.
Stop using another religion to say these can't be Hebrew Israelites. They're not following the as far as what the Bible is concerned. They're not following the Torah. But as we'll see, they knew who the God of Israel was, even in West Africa, as we're going to see, right? Skip down to verse 41, my brother.
And thou shalt beget sons and daughters, and thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
So, like, once again, we're focused on the captivity of Israel, and we're going to point more specifically to the transatlantic slave trade and the tribes that got taken in the transatlantic slave trade, right? So skip down to verse 45.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee. All these curses.
All these curses.
Not a couple of them.
All these curses. So everything that we read, all these curses shall come upon the nation of Israel, right? Continue.
And shall pursue thee and overtake thee.
And shall pursue thee and overtake thee. So with this starting in the Assyrian captivity, going all the way down to the American captivity is because it pursued us because we didn't come back to the law, statutes, and commandments fully, right? Keep going.
Let me interject. With this pursue thee and overtake thee, all these curses, notice no other nation, no matter where they migrate or move to, when we moved from the city into the suburbs, these curses followed us. I didn't see these curses following Indians,
right? Because
or Native Americans or anybody else when they move into a certain neighborhood.
Exactly.
It's mainly us.
Right, because in Daniel it says that nothing has been done upon Jerusalem. No nation has been done worse than Jerusalem, right? Keep going, my brother.
Till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
So, of course, the issue is, once again, we are not keeping the commandments of God, right? So, in turn, for all the people that say that the law is done away with, we're going to show the conditions through these tribes to get you to see if the law is done away with, we would still be in our land. We would still be keeping the land, the customs and stuff in the land of Israel. We would not be in our enemy's land, right? So this is protesting because we getting hit with the same curses that the Most High said was going to happen if we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right?
Right.
Keep going, my brother.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So they get into this like this is not supposed to be a something that's supposed to be emphasized, right? This shall be a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever. All of these mentioning all of this stuff mentioning that we're going into captivity, we're gonna be blind, we're gonna be astonished, and we're gonna have other names. So you don't worry about us having Israelite as our name or the original name that we were given, right?
Let me point this context out too, because you know that's what they like to do a lot. They like, you got to read it in context.
Got to read it in context.
We don't read in context because we didn't learn from y'all saying that so much.
Right.
And they shall be a sign upon thee. I'm sorry. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever. Now, what people was gonna say is, well, you mean forever? So that means when the kingdom comes, they still on you? No, it's not. It's not going to be like that. Why? Because of the verse before it. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and thou shalt pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not to the voice of thy Lord thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes and his as he commanded. So as long as we're not keeping the commandments of God, his statutes, the curses will be on us
forever, right? So if you go back in Deuteronomy the 30th chapter, he said if you turn and come back to him, then he gonna lift your captivity. So that forever is not forever. It's based on your choice, right?
Exactly. Right. Now I keep reading for you. What you want me to get to, bro?
Verse 47.
47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things.
Right. So this is why, because you didn't do this with the joy of your heart. And this thing is joyful.
Yeah.
This is joyful. I love this, y'all. I don't know how y'all feeling out there, but I love serving God. I love it, right?
Love serving it so much that on Pentecost, which was what, 2 Sundays ago, when all hell was breaking loose, where everybody riding,
we sitting here partying, we down, you know what I'm saying?
Not even caring about what's going. We getting reports. People be like, yeah, y'all be careful, y'all out there. You know they doing this in the street. They done knocked off this jewel, but we sitting there like, hallelujah. We sitting there having a good time in it because we're doing the commandments of the Lord,
which are not grievous, right? Yes, verse 48.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed.
So all these connotations of slavery, captivity, and being blind and not knowing what's going on, right? And being mad. Now, let's skip down to verse 64, and we're going to pay attention to this because when they get down to verse 68, it's almost like they forget what was said in the passages before it, right? Like it is not saying that we're going to be scattered into all nations. Now, how did we get there? Did we walk? Did we walk across the Atlantic? You see what I'm saying? Did we walk any of the other places, right? As far as Israel, no, we were taken there by ships.
You sure we weren't some good swimmers?
Man, according to them, we had to be some off the chain swimmers, right?
Man, okay.
Now let's skip down to verse 64 and read this, right?
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. You know what? Can I start at 63?
Go ahead.
Let's start at 63.
Go ahead.
I ain't trying to take over his lesson.
No. Go ahead.
But I want people to understand.
We're going to get this taken care of. So
Okay.
whatever my brother wants to add on, he can definitely add on.
Yeah, let's start at 63.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you.
Man.
He's talking directly to Israel, not the world.
To Israel.
And to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it.
So this is showing that we got taken from our land, right? Because this is a mystery to people. This is a mystery. What happened to the African American? Why is he like this, right?
Right.
So the Lord did it with joyfulness to destroy you and take you off your land. So now we're going to get into what's happened when he does that, right? Verse 64.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even to the other.
No, just the Egyptians. Right? He said to all people, you're going to be scattered to all people. We want to emphasize all people, right? Keep going.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So he said it again. Remember, y'all, when they try to get y'all to hey, they worship Oshun as far as the Yoruba. They worship all these other deities. They can't be Israel. Didn't it say we gonna worship other gods?
Yeah, it said that.
Yeah,
we ain't know nothing about no Christmas. We ain't know nothing about Easter. We ain't know nothing about Sunday worship. Stuff. We serve a lot of gods.
We serve a lot of gods, like all the other gods of the world, and we cannot get out of captivity. Now, this is what I want to ask to those that doubt this. Are these curses upon you? Are you blind? Because this is talking about the people that got off the transatlantic slave trade.
Yes, sir.
This is what this is talking about, right? Keep going, my brother.
And among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and a failing of eyes and sorrowful mind.
So that's the only nation in the world, right?
And that's
where you're not going to find no ease among the nations that you go. And there you shall have a trembling of heart, a failing of eyes, and a sorrow of mind. And I'm sorry, no other people on this world knows and experiences that like us.
And that's why we out there protesting.
Right, and that's why we out there protesting. And it got to the point we got so tired of it, they started looting, you know what I'm saying? And all of this. Why are we doing this?
Even the Gentiles, some of them are seeing it.
Right, some of them are seeing it, right? And that's part of prophecy too, because the Gentiles eventually going to know that we are going to be the seed, or we are the seed that the Lord has blessed.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Gentiles.
Uh-oh.
Oh, go ahead.
There you said something?
Yeah, I just want to say that no, not Gentiles. Just people to know.
You going in and
hold on,
hold
going in and out, my
You
bad.
going to say that again, man?
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
I'll just say that no, we're not Gentiles.
Right.
And no, we are not Gentiles, which they love to say. We are Gentiles. No, we're not.
No, we're not Gentiles. The Gentiles is Europeans and Asians. Some people like to, there's another doctrine saying that they're what? Moabites and all that. No, these cats are Gentiles too. But but here in America, the Gentiles is starting to look and see. I wish I'd have put that video up. I'm gonna probably try to get it too. They're even praying now.
Right.
They're sitting up. There's a couple of videos where they weren't praying to the black people standing in front of them.
Right.
They're praying to the Lord, saying, "Man, forgive us for what we've done and our ancestors have done to these people."
Right. See, they're seeing this thing now, right? And we should see it as well, right? Where we at? Verse
66.
Yeah, verse 66.
Yeah. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
So if you lived in the hood like I have, this is definitely talking about being in these urban areas, right?
There go that word again.
There go that word again. Being in these urban areas, and you fear for your life.
Right.
Like, y'all don't know how that feels. Y'all don't know how it feels to be shot at. You don't know how it feels the next thing you know, somebody's trying to rob you or come in and kill your family. You don't know how that feels on a regular basis.
Right.
As a nation of people, even with the police, you don't know how that feels. The reason why I have this passion is because I'm insulted that these people go this length. They're not doing this to save you. They're doing this because they have an agenda. And you should be insulted that these people are trying to take your heritage away from you.
Especially some of you black, Hebrew, really you're Israelite apologists.
Right.
You're being used and you don't see it. Go ahead, bro.
Right. And we want y'all to come over as well. Like, get away from these people. This is not an attack on you. This is showing you that you're getting fed misinformation. And that's what we want to bring to the table.
The main reason I believe this whole movement started is because once people started, and I'm gonna put it at the end of it, right? Ezekiel 37, I think it is. I'm gonna read that at the end. I'm gonna read that
spirit, right?
Yeah. The thing is the Lord is waking his people up, man.
Right.
And because he's the one. Let's all remember the disciples stayed with Jesus for 3.5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did he open up their eyes to everything he was talking about? At the end.
At the end.
He taught them so much stuff, and they were still like, that's what the Lord is doing now.
Right.
There's so many things that we've learned that he kept aside. I'm telling the chapter before it comes. But now he's opening up for everybody to see. And the main people that see it now are the Christian apologists.
Right.
And they're also noticing that a lot of black folks is leaving that church. Right. So they set up these urban apologists to come retrieve them back or to get them to not leave the church anymore. Right. That's the plan. But let's go and finish with your lesson before I get started.
All right, go ahead. Verse 67.
67. In the morning thou shalt say, with God it were even, and at even it was that. Thou shalt say, with God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and thou shalt, and for thy sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
So our condition is just all messed up. When the evening come, we want it to be the morning. When the morning come, we want it to be evening. We just want the day to be over with because it's so bad for us.
Then the nighttime come, man, they out there acting fool. I wish morning would come. So
right, like so y'all understand this is stuff we're going through. They don't have to go through this. The doggone Ashkenazis don't have to go through this. Esau don't have to go through this. Mm-hmm. So we got to keep going through this with people telling us that this is not who we are. That's insulting, right? So let's read the most controversial one of them all, that they always say that this is not actually this is literally Egypt and not synonymous for the house of bondage.
And we're reading this from the King James.
Yes, the King
What's the
James
one they love
version.
to use? The ESV?
Yeah, right.
Which says it slightly different. And that's a way to get people to
be thrown off.
Yeah, let's read this. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Mm-hmm. You want to explain what Egypt means?
To Egypt again with ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Egypt is synonymous with the house of bondage, right? We're gonna read that in a minute. It is synonymous with the house of bondage because this was our first captivity, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Keep going, my brother.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
And I want to specify that. As many times as Israel went into Egypt, he said y'all was not going to see this no more again. We didn't went into Egypt so many times. He had to tell us, he had to warn us for going down into Egypt to receive help from the Egyptians. So this is not talking about literal Egypt. Egypt is a part of this. But this is not talking about literal Egypt, right? Continue, my brother.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Or no man shall buy you, or no man shall redeem you. Now let's go confirm that this is the house of bondage, right? Let us go to Exodus, the 20th chapter. Exodus, the 20th chapter. Because like I said, after this, y'all gonna have daggers to be able to deal with whoever. Because I'm sick of going through these conditions and then somebody trying to keep telling me that I'm not the descendant from the people of this book, right?
And then the question is also, too, who else was spread around the world? Remember the whole context of what you just read.
Spread around
it
the
said
world.
In 64, I'm going to scatter you among all the nations. Then in the last, it said, I'm going to scatter you within ships. So the question again is, because people going to go, you know, I'm not going to say the brother's name. He a UA too. But they going to try to use that the Egyptians were scattered too among the nations.
Oh man!
But there's a way we were scattered through ships,
by ships, which the Egyptians were never scattered by ships.
Exactly.
And pretty much they got scattered within the African continent. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read what Egypt means and symbolizes to Israelites. Right? Exodus, the 20th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Whenever you get there, my brother, go ahead.
Yeah, you didn't give me all of them. I think. Oh, just okay. All right. And God spake all these words, saying, that's what you gave me. So keep reading.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So Egypt is synonymous with the house of bondage. Now, prove to me, like what we were saying, prove to us, starting from verse 64 in Deuteronomy 28, that's not talking about the entire world.
Right? It says it right there in the context.
Right now, why
out of
would
the
I
house
need,
of bondage? It says it right there.
Now, why would I need ships to go to Egypt? Why would I need ships to go to Egypt? If many times as we walk into Egypt, now they're gonna bring a whole bunch of ships to take the whole nation of Israel into slavery by ships in Egypt from Israel. That doesn't make any sense, y'all. Come on, let's be for real, right? Now, going back to the fact that these people that they were interviewing in Benin, they said that this was ridiculous for them to consider themselves in Judah, right? Being from the kingdom of Judah or Israel coming down in the first place, right? So we're going to go to Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, and we're going to show what happened to the memory of the Israelites, right? What happened to the memory of the Israelites?
So I'm going to put that back on the screen.
Deuteronomy 32.
Y'all remember this video where he was claiming they don't know. So,
they don't know, right?
Right.
Deuteronomy 32, and we're going to start at verse 26.
I said, now this is Christ speaking in the Old Testament. I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
So if Israel knew who they are, do you think that the remembrance of Israel would cease from among men? No, because they would just go out there and tell people that they're Israel, right?
Right.
So they forgot who they are, and then the whole world forgot who they were with the remnants of people that knew. But other than that, as far as a whole, the whole world forgot who Israel is. So, of course, these people are going to fit in the same category, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let us continue. Now, we're going to get into the colonization of the Israelites, right? Because we knew who we were, and this is why I'm specifying the transatlantic slave trade. We knew who we were before we got on those ships. We knew who we were, right? Let us go to Psalms 83. So we're going to all of what you would call the cliche scriptures, you know, especially dealing with them. We're going to go through all the stuff that they went through, but we're going to slide in all the rest of the information to make this solid, right? So this is Psalms 83. Psalms, the 83rd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1.
Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
Mm-hmm.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and have consulted against thy hidden ones.
I don't see how these people are hidden if they know who they are. If people knew who they are, why are they the hidden ones, right? Keep going, my brother.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So when you are trying to kill the name of a nation, you are trying to colonize that nation. And as we were saying, the children of Israel knew who they were before the transatlantic slave trade. So this is going to be the last captivity that we're in, and this is going to be where everything really sets in as far as the curses is concerned, right? And then it says they were going to take crafty counsel, and they're going to do this all the way till Jesus come back. Right? You had something to add, my brother?
Yeah, and notice that they know who Israel is.
Right, they know. These
they
ain't higher ups.
They ain't forgot. They know who Israel is too.
Right. Verse.
That's why they trying to use urban apologists to keep us from not knowing who we are.
Right, like that's crazy.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. For they have they've consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
So these people are out here to deceive us. When we got to stick together to make sure that we compile all this information and we edify each other, so we could just cut up all the enemies that's trying to take this away from us, right? So let us now go to Jeremiah the 17th chapter. Jeremiah the 17th chapter. Because we're gonna see that we went into bondage, we were blind, we forgot who we were. Then we got other nations that are constantly trying to colonize us and make us forget who we are, which happened. And now we're gonna see the Lord say he's gonna take away our heritage. So all of this is happening simultaneously with the children of Israel all the way until this day, right? Jeremiah, the 17th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 3.
Verse 3?
Yeah, Jeremiah 17 and verse 3.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay.
And whenever you get there, my brother, go ahead and read.
Oh, my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil, and thy high places for sin throughout all of thy borders.
Right.
And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I have gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
So the only enemy's land you're going to be in is Egypt. You know, according to Deuteronomy 28 and 68, when it comes to them, the only place you're going to be in is Egypt, right? Now, he said that you're going to discontinue from your heritage, your substance and your treasures are going to be taken away and given to the spoil, right? All the pictures, all the artifacts that we had, the nations took that as well. This is all part of the process of getting us to forget who we are and getting men to cease from remembering who Israel is. And once again, that forever means is based on you not obeying the commandments of God, right?
Right, like we explained earlier.
Right. So now let's get into some of the undeniable laws in here based on our heritage that you can still find before we got taken in the transatlantic slave trade, right? So we're going to start this with the circumcision, right? And the special thing about Israel is all these nations have done circumcision. They've been doing circumcision for a long time before Israel, but no other nation has done circumcision on the 8th day. No other nation. That's what separates the God of Israel, and that separates the Hebrewz from any other nation in the world, right? If they're doing circumcision on the 8th day, they're Israelites. That's as plain as day, right? So we're going to start this at Genesis, the 17th chapter.
Now, I'm guessing, but I believe the reason you're saying that is because some of the pseudo-apologists have found other people that do circumcision too.
Right.
Because now, if if they're doing it as soon as the baby is born, or if they're waiting till they're 13,
right?
Like, wow, you
or
wait till
30.
30. You know, it's like what in the world? That's why the Lord is the one that said do it on the 8th day.
On the 8th day.
Period. Now here in America, you know, some don't. A lot get it done as soon as the baby is born because there's no knowledge of the 8th day.
Right.
You know?
Well, it was knowledge of the 8th day, but that knowledge has gone away because
right. That's what I'm talking about.
Medical practice.
Yeah.
But back to what he was saying, it's right. We haven't been keeping up with this in the regular hospitals as far as in this nation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So Genesis, the 17th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 9. Genesis 17 and verse 9. Go ahead, my brother.
And God said to Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations.
Mm-hmm.
This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee.
Mm-hmm.
Every man child among you shall be circumcised.
Mm-hmm.
And ye shall be circumcised of the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you.
So this is a sign and a token of the covenant between God and his people. So nobody in the world has this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see when this is going to be done on, right? Verse 12.
And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house and bought with money, and any stranger, any stranger
right,
that's with Israel, which is not of thy seed.
So everybody that has to do this in the house of Israel, any stranger that's in the house of an Israelite at this time, what is he saying? He has to get circumcised on the 8th day as well, right?
And even unto this day,
even
because people want to say that was just the law for the Israelites.
Right.
We got a different law.
It says the stranger too, right?
Right.
Keep going, my
13. He that is born in thy house and he that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant.
Now, like we're saying, this is the covenant of God and the sign of God, the sign, right? That these are his people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's continue, my brother.
And this uncircumcised man child whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant.
So you see how serious this is to not have the child be, or the man child be circumcised on the 8th day. If you don't do this, you've broken the covenant and will be cut off or killed from among your people, right? So that is one sign, circumcision on the 8th day. Let's go to the next sign. Let's go to Exodus 31st chapter. And what's going to be surprising is when I found this out, I tripped out because I didn't know we was keeping this stuff in West Africa. Like they always tell you, well, what was we doing before the slave ships? We were keeping remnants. We had idolatry in it, which is why we got over here. But we were keeping the signs that God had with the children of Israel to specify that these are his people, right? Within the West African continent, right? So we're going to now go to Exodus, the 31st chapter, and we're going to start at verse 12. Exodus 31 and verse 12.
Please like and share the video. Start watch parties if you haven't already, and subscribe to the YouTube channel under Isaac K. Fingers as well.
Okay. Whenever you get there, my brother, go ahead and read.
All right. Exodus
31 and 12.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily, my Sabbaths.
What did he say?
My Sabbaths.
So my Sabbaths, he said, right? Keep going.
Ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you.
There's another sign, the Sabbath, which we are in right now, right?
Oh man, I'm sanctified on the first day of the week. Hallelujah. I'm sanctified, man. What you mean? The Christian Sabbath, man.
Right, the Christian Sabbath, which is Sunday, but this is saying the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, which is a sign, just like the circumcision. We're seeing all the things he said was a sign that distinguished Israel from the rest of the people.
Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
So these signs, obviously, these are salvation issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
These signs, if you don't do them, will get you cut off from among your people. So this is the God of Israel's sign to his people specifically, right?
I like to tell people this is Christ. Because what some people don't understand, they think the God of the Old Testament is the Father, and the God of the New Testament is Christ. Christ is the God of both testaments.
Right.
He tell us in John 34, you ain't never seen the Lord's voice, heard his voice, or seen his shape at any time. So if you ain't never seen the Father, who we been dealing with?
Right.
It's been Christ, and he's the one saying this stuff.
So these customs that these West Africans have kept for all these years came from Christ.
Yes, sir.
Right. Keep going, my
Verse
brother.
15, right?
Yep.
6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant.
So this is a perpetual, meaning ongoing, forever covenant to the children of Israel. And once again, what is he about to specify? It is in verse 17.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever.
It is a sign, a sign. We're going to specify it is a sign because nobody else keeps this. So if you see somebody keeping this outside of this Talmudic Judaism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Islam, the way they keep it. If you keep it like this, you are the people of God. If they were keeping it, and what we're going to specify, if they were keeping it before colonization, before they came down there and gave them this Greco-Roman Christianity, were they keeping this? And this is what we want to find out, right? So now, let us now go to...
I'm glad you said that. Because when you look at history, you read about all of the missionary, all of the stuff that came out of Europe that went to Africa to so-called civilize these savages.
Civilize these people. And they came down here. And this is what crazy, y'all. They came down here with the Bible, and we were already keeping remnants of it. But they gonna say we savages.
Right.
Ain't that something? But you using the book as for your religion. It's funny.
And this is why they sent urban apologists against us, because we're waking up again.
Because we're waking up again. So they sending the missionaries again, right?
Verse 17.
So
I need to finish it. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. And in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed.
And as he is refreshed, we are refreshed for keeping his day as well, right? Because his day is not for the Lord. Who is it for? It is for man, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go to the last place dealing with the heritage. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16 and 16.
And understand something else. We've been saying this for the stranger as well. So when you really get what the message is yes, the laws and statutes and commandments was given to Israel, but Israel is supposed to teach the rest of the world. So whoever does what Israel does spiritually, because all Israel ain't Israel,
right?
But even if Gentiles, anybody else decides to do what the Lord told Israel to do, they can be saved as well.
Right.
Let's just emphasize on that. See, there they go talking about only Israel gonna get saved.
And that's another thing they try to use, because now they mostly deal with our One West brothers, right?
Yes, sir.
They're still our brothers. I love them brothers to death, right? Even though I don't agree with everything they teach. But I'm not about to let these folks divide me and my brothers or nobody else.
Right.
So what they're sitting here saying is, they found out a way to deal with the radicals, because quote unquote radicals, because their doctrine is a little off, right? So they can get them like that, right? But now, who's the real danger and threat?
Oh man,
the moderate Israelites, they're the real danger and threat right now because we can blend in with the rest of the Christians, right?
And you know what kills me about that? And I know some people say, you need to stop saying what kills you. What tickles me. What tickles me about that is that a couple of years ago, we invited one of the urban apologists to our camp.
Right.
And my brother Mikael, he was the main one dealing with him. And we were friendly. We ain't call him a devil.
Right.
None of that stuff. We ain't tripped that he had his head covered still.
We fed him.
All that, you know. Showed him all types of love.
Right.
But what tickles me is that later on, like when he went on to someone else's show, and he gave us props. He was like, man, if I was to go anywhere, it would be at that camp, right? But now I'm hearing them cats, not specifically us, but they call us moderate Hebrews.
Right.
Now they're more dangerous than One West. Because, but here's the thing. If we're more dangerous than One West, why are y'all still messing with One West?
Right.
All y'all videos is all about One West.
They're not coming after us. So now what we got to do is we got to come out and come after them, right? So
for trying to lump us all together.
Yes, sir. And for trying to tear us down as a people and get people to think that we are not the children of Israel, right?
Right.
So where we at?
16 and 16.
16 and 16.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead.
3 times a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in a place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, which is Pentecost,
right,
and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
All right, you can read the next one.
Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he hath given thee.
Now, let's look at this. You have circumcision on the 8th day. You have the Sabbath day, and then you have the 3 annual feasts. Now, you know nobody else in the world does this. No, nobody else in the world. Do y'all know that they still do this to this very day, right? To this very day. And we were keeping all of this, even though we had them wrapped up with other gods, we were keeping all of this before the transatlantic slave trade, before the missionaries came. Any of that, right? We were keeping this. Now let's get into the captivities, right? We're going to start this at Isaiah, the 10th chapter, right?
Isaiah 10.
Isaiah 10. So from Assyria all the way down until now, we're going to deal with that right now, right? Isaiah 10, and we can start at verse 5.
Let me make a suggestion too. On your own, people, read the book of Judges. So many times the Lord sent us into small captivities for like 8, 10 years, 20 years, brought us back out. Here's the thing. Those people knew who they were.
Right.
So they knew that they were Israel. So when they knew they was in captivity and got in trouble with the Lord, they came together as a people and cried out, and the Lord brought them out.
Right.
That's not what these people want us to do.
Right.
That's why they're out here telling you're not Israel.
Right.
Because they don't want us to come together as a people.
Right.
Go ahead.
Because Paul said that the diminishing of Israel is the riches of the Gentiles. So we're not going to get out of this unless we stick together and come back to our God. They're going to keep up with this crafty counsel forever.
Yeah.
And they will keep us in this position forever, right?
Till Christ come back.
Till Christ come back.
Yeah.
It's really till Christ come back.
Yeah.
In their mind, they want to do it forever, right?
Right.
So let us start this at Isaiah, the 10th chapter.
Oh, my favorite verses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, let me read this.
Isaiah 10, and we're going to start at verse 5.
O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff of in their hand is my indignation.
So the way, if y'all know the history of how the Assyrians did us, y'all got that is the indignation of the Lord that was on us when the Assyrians came to destroy and take down Israel, right? Keep going.
I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him charge to take the spoil, to take the prey, and to tread them down like mire of the streets.
So he said, I will send them against a hypocritical nation. This is another thing that these people tend to do. y'all point out the bad stuff that Israel do to make them not Israel. If anything, you're making our point, right? Because this is a hypocritical nation according to the Most High God. So if anything, you should be like, wait, them people over there being a little too righteous. This is not according to the word of God, right?
Hey, man, that's a sip right there, man. Come on, get your sip on, man. That's a sip right there. That orange juice tastes different when it hit different though.
It hit different when that cut.
Oh yeah, man.
So now we're going to verse 7, right?
Howbeit he meaneth not so, neither does his heart think so. He's talking about the Assyrians,
right?
But it is in his heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few.
So these people thought that they were doing this on their own, not realizing that the spirit and indignation of the Most High was pushing them to do this, right? Pushing them to do this. Now that's scary that you have a nation that already wants to destroy you. Now they have the spirit and indignation of the Most High behind them, right? And they gonna take you down, right?
And so don't know why.
And don't know why. They like I said, if you look at Sennacherib, he thought that he was doing this. He was blaspheming God, telling Hezekiah, don't trust in the Lord and don't allow him to deceive you, right? I'm paraphrasing, right? So let us continue. Now we're going to
verse 8, right?
No,
verse 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 through 7.
Because we read 7.
So now we're going to Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 17.
Yeah, the Lord ain't playing with us. So, but he loves us still, and he wants to wake us up so we could do right. But other people's like, nah, we can't have that happening.
Right.
Verse 17.
Verse 17.
50 and 17. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria hath devoured him, and last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones.
Okay, so they're showing the difference between the kingdoms. The Assyrians took down the northern kingdom, and then Nebuchadnezzar took down the southern kingdom, right? So we know Israel is a scattered sheep, and we're really, even though what my brother says, they had little tiny captivities before this, but this is bringing in the real shebang. Right, under the Assyrians and under the Babylonians, right? So now what we're going to do, we're going to read what Sennacherib, and this is just pertaining to the history. First, my bad. First, go to Second Chronicles 32.
All right.
Before we get into this, we're going to read Second Chronicles, the 32nd chapter. And all of this is going to make sense as we go down the line. Second Chronicles 32, and we're going to start at verse 1. Second Chronicles, the 32nd chapter, and we are going to start at verse 1.
After these things, the establishment thereof, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and entered into Judah and encamped against the fenced cities and thought to win them for himself.
So what a lot of people don't realize is we're so used to seeing that the northern kingdom got taken down by Israel altogether, and that the southern kingdom got taken down by the Babylonians altogether. But Sennacherib came and took prisoners from the fenced cities of Judah. And we're going to see him say what he took in corresponding with what the Bible says, right? Keep going.
And when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib was come and that he was purposed to fight against Jerusalem, he took counsel with his princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains which were without the city. And they did help him.
Right. So let me point out that the defense cities or defense cities, fortified cities, are the cities where they take defense when the invader is coming. So this is what this is talking about. So skip down to verse 9 and go ahead.
After this did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, send his servants to Jerusalem, but he himself laid siege against Lachish. I actually said that right. And all of the power with him unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, and all of Judah that were at Jerusalem saying,
Keep going.
Thus say Sennacherib, king of Assyria, whereon do ye trust, that ye abide in the siege of Jerusalem?
Okay, so you stop right there. So what we want to point out is that he laid siege to Lachish, right? One of the fortified cities or fenced cities in Judah, right? So now we're going to read an account from Sennacherib saying what he did, what he got from Lachish. This is from the Lachish reliefs. You can find this in, you can go down, not downtown. You can go on 57 and Woodline to the Oriental Museum. They actually have this in there in display, what they call a Taylor Prism, showing Hezekiah and Sennacherib. This is real history, and we're going to see that the oral tradition from these certain West African tribes came from this, right? So now we're going to read what Sennacherib has said. This is from historynet.com, and this is dealing with the march on Judah with Sennacherib.
Sennacherib recorded that when he attacked Judah, he had already successfully laid siege to 46 walled cities and conquered countless small towns and villages. In a lament, right? In a lament, the prophet Micah, Micah 1:18-16 lists some of the towns destroyed, taking pride in Assyrian siegecraft. Sennacherib mentioned how his army penetrated fortifications using ramps, battering rams, mines, breaches, and siege engines. In the course of his rampage through Judah, Sennacherib reported taking 200,150 people prisoner as spoils of war, and that is still considered a realistic figure today.
So this is what he took: 200,150 people back to Nineveh. If you go into 1 Kings, the 18th chapter, 19th chapter, it showed the Most High said that he was going to return back to his own land and that he wasn't going to come against Jerusalem, right? Because he didn't take down Judah altogether. He just took prisoners from the fenced cities, right? So we're going to stop right there. So now we're going to bring in Nebuchadnezzar coming on the scene, right? Because when we start with the Yoruba tradition, we're going to see that the Yoruba tradition came out of the battle between the Assyrians and the Babylonians, right? So now we're going to start this at Jeremiah, the 27th chapter. Jeremiah, the 27th chapter. Now remember, Sennacherib, and then if you read in the book of Nahum that eventually the city of Nineveh was destroyed, and it was destroyed, and historically it was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar's father, Nabopolassar, right? So this was in 612 BCE, right? So now we're going to read. When the Most High is giving all these lands to Nebuchadnezzar and telling everybody to come under the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar, otherwise he's going to take them down by his hand. Jeremiah 27, and we're going to start at verse 1. Jeremiah, the 27th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Whenever you get there, my brother, go ahead and read.
In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Keep reading or go to?
Keep reading.
Okay. Thus saith the Lord to me, make thee bonds and yokes and put them upon thy neck.
So he said, make thee bonds and yoke and put them upon thy neck. Or pretty much he's telling them to get ready to be subjected to Nebuchadnezzar, right? Skip down to verse 5.
I have made the earth, the man, and the beasts that are upon the ground. By my great power and by my outstretched arm, I have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me.
Right, keep going.
And now I have given all these lands unto the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant. And the beast of the field have I given him also to serve him.
And eventually you'll see going down the line, this is going all the way down to the full Gentile dynasty, all the way down till Christ come, which we are in now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep going, verse 7.
And all nations shall serve him and his sons sons until the very time of his land come. And then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him.
Right. So all the nations and great kings was going to come under the yoke of the king of Babylon. And what did he say? If they didn't do this, what did he say was going to happen to them? Verse 8.
And it shall come to pass that that nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith the Lord, with the sword and with the famine and with the pestilence, and I have consumed them by his hand.
Right. And he said, until he has consumed them by his hand. He is gonna, you will come under the yoke. It's really get down or lay down, right?
Right.
Either go get down or lay down with Nebuchadnezzar, right? So what I want to specify here too is this message came in the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, right? We're going to learn that this is 609 BCE. So I'm bringing up these dates for a reason, y'all, right? So you're going to follow me. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 25th chapter. So we're just going to go here to establish some dates real quick. Jeremiah 25 and verse 1.
The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. That was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon.
So if you look historically, the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, was 605 BCE. And then you have the 4th, which is the 4th year of Jehoiakim. You add 605 plus 604, which will be 609 BCE, right? All these dates are important when we throw in these tribes, right? So 612, 609, 605 BCE, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to throw in the Yoruba oral tradition, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with the Yoruba now. And this is from a book called Anthropos by Dirk Lang. He is a pretty much he is an anthropologist, and he goes and he studied the Yoruba for about 30 years. He's took about 15 trips over there. And he studied these people's customs over this time. And he came up with the conclusion based on their oral tradition, based on customs, that these were the Israelites. Even their perception of their history is coming from the view of the Israelites, which we're about to read, right? So whenever you get a chance, go ahead and read. This is page 579.
On the basis of comparative studies between the dynastic tradition of the Yoruba, Oyo Yoruba, okay, because you know I have no idea how to say that.
So Oyo Yoruba it says, right?
All right, Yoruba and ancient Near Eastern history. The present article argues that Yoruba traditions of provenance, claiming immigration from the Near East, are basically correct.
Right. So he said the Near East, which would be Northeast Africa, right? Egypt, Israel, and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he said that their traditions of provenance claiming immigration to the Near East is basically correct. Why did he come up with this conclusion? Go ahead, my brother.
According to the, how you say it again?
Oyo Yoruba.
According to the Oyo Yoruba tradition, the ancestral Yoruba saw the Assyrians' conquest of the Israelite kingdom from the 9th and the 8th centuries BC from the view of the Israelites.
So let me just make this disclaimer. The Yoruba, for those who don't know, is a tribe in southwest Nigeria, right?
Mm-hmm.
Southwest Nigeria, right? So keep going, my brother.
After the fall of Samaria in 7022 BC, they were deported into eastern Syria and adopted the ruling Assyrian kings as their own.
So they saw the fall of Samaria according to the Oyo Yoruba tradition, right? Keep going.
The collapse of the Assyrian Empire is, however, mainly seen through the eyes of the Babylonian conquerors of Nineveh in 612 BC.
Mm-hmm.
This second shift of perspectives reflects the disillusionment of the Israelite and Babylonian deportees from Syria Palestine towards the Assyrian oppressors.
Mm-hmm.
After the defeat of the Egypto-Assyrian forces at Carnage, how you say
Carchemish.
Oh, Carchemish
Mm-hmm.
in Syria of 605 BC.
Now, remember, 605 BCE is when Nebuchadnezzar became king, right? I just wanted to make that note. Keep going.
Okay. Numerous deportees followed the fleeing Egypto-Assyrian troops to the Nile Valley before continuing their migration to sub-Saharan Africa.
So they went into the Nile Valley, and then they continued their migration into sub-Saharan Africa. This is, and the Egypto-Assyrian troops followed them down after the Battle of Carchemish in Syria in 605, which would land you in which after the migration started in 586 BCE, which is Judah, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we see them going into the Nile. We see them going into sub-Saharan Africa. Let's see if the Bible shows that they were in sub-Saharan Africa. Let us go to Zephaniah 3 and 10. Zephaniah 3 and 10. Because all of this stuff, the oral tradition, the history, and everything. No, we don't have to. All the, we'll keep that.
Yeah, I'm just putting it over there.
So all the oral tradition that we're reading, everything is going to connect with the scriptures, and it's going to be to a T. There's not going to be anything left undone, right? Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 10.
From Babylon, the rivers of Ethiopia, my supplicants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering.
So he said, from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, right? And the Hebrew word for beyond is Eber, which means on the opposite side. So what this is saying is from the opposite side of the rivers of Ethiopia, which is the Nile River, the suppliants and the daughter of the dispersed of Israel are going to be on the opposite side of the Nile River, right? This is sub-Saharan Africa or West Africa, or which eventually we're going to show is called Hebrewland. My brother, can you pull up that map real quick?
I'm trying to remember which map. Okay, hold on. Let's remove that. Okay, so you wanted to go to the maps, right? I think I got to do it this way. Wait, let me see. Yeah, I got to do it this way.
So what we're seeing, what we're going to see right now is a map that shows this specifically. It shows the river of Ethiopia, then it shows what's on the opposite side of the rivers of Ethiopia.
Which one is it? This one?
Yep.
All right. Just give it a second.
Give it a second.
There you go.
So y'all see on the side where it says P of Ethiopia or the rivers of Ethiopia. What's on the opposite side? This is self-explanatory as far as this scripture. On the opposite side of the rivers of Ethiopia is Negro land and Guinea. You got the Gold Coast, the Slave Coast, Benin, Nigeria, Ghana, all of these things, Angola, all of these things are on the opposite side of the rivers of Ethiopia, which you'll find our people at. And this is also where they said that the diaspora, the African diaspora happened in this region to sub-Saharan Africa. This is all historically accurate, and we find this in the scriptures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let us now go back to the Yoruba, to speaking on the Yoruba.
Ooh.
So no, my bad. Go get the other map real quick.
I didn't blew it up. But,
So what we want to show, let's get these other map real quick. What we want to show is that the map that they showed in the video, in the apologist video, is in the same area as this, following the scriptures, y'all, following the oral tradition, following all the history. So you can have all the witnesses you can. Do you have witnesses, Bible, and history? Right? Not just three random people that we know. We don't even know what tribe they come from. It's just random people, right? So this is the map. Oh, my bad.
No. I'm having trouble over here. Okay, there.
Right. This is the map, and we can go back to the other map too. So this is the map that they are talking about, right? Wida or Wayuda or in the slave coast or the kingdom of Judah. But who went down here, y'all? According to history, according to oral tradition, according to his the Bible prophecy, who went down here? The dispersed of Israel went down here, right? So go to the other map. No, the other one.
The other one? Okay.
Deal with the Yoruba. So this map is showing the Yoruba, the Oyo dynastic tradition from the Yoruba, starting from Nineveh, right? Going all the way down into the Nile, and then you got some going down into Yemen and the Medina and things like that. So you got them going into the Nile. You got Egypt, Meroe, Nubia. You eventually find them in Sudan, and then they cross the river of Ethiopia, and they end up in sub-Saharan Africa. This is what the oral tradition is pointing out. I just want to make that clear.
Now, these are Hebrew Israelites, right?
These are Hebrew Israelites.
Okay, let's just remind people who they are.
So this is also connecting to the scripture in every way, from Nahum to Micah to Zephaniah. All of this, even Isaiah 18, is showing them being on the opposite side of the rivers of Ethiopia, right? So now let us continue, right? Now we're about to go and read the Battle of Carchemish, because we're gonna sew this up completely, right? The Battle of Carchemish. Right.
Oh, this is still this picture.
Is from Pat, okay. www.patfield.com. The Battle of Carchemish. Yep.
The Battle of Carchemish was fought in May/June of 605 BC.
And that's approximate, so we really don't know, but that's approximate. Right, go ahead.
Between an allied army of Egyptians and Assyrians against the Babylonian army. When the Babylonians overran the Assyrian capital of Nineveh in 612 BC, the Assyrians moved their capital to Haran, now in Turkey. When the Babylonians captured Haran in 608 BC, the Assyrian capital was moved to Carchemish. Egypt was allied with the Assyrians and marched to their aid against the Babylonians in 609 BC. An Egyptian army of Pharaoh Necho II was delayed at Megiddo in Israel by the forces of King Josiah of Judah. Josiah was killed and his army was defeated. This was the beginning of the Yoruba migration from Nineveh in 612, Haran in 609, and Carchemish in 605. After that, the Jews' dispersion to Africa began in 586 BC. 19 years after the Yoruba migrated from Carchemish.
Right. So we see now that the oral tradition of the Yoruba is matching to a T, is matching the scriptures, right? Let us keep going. Read that right here. This is from the account of Muhammad Bello. So he was the first Sudanic author to make accurate description of where the Yoruba came from, right?
Now, what we're reading is based off of this map, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So start here.
No.
Up here. Okay. The first and only Sudanic author to provide precise information on the origin of the Yoruba is Muhammad Bello, the son of the founder of the Sokoto Caliphate and his later successor. In his Infaquasmir.
Right, this is his book or memoirs.
So this name of his book, Infaquasmir, written in 1812. He included a brief account of Yoruba origins, stating that the Yoruba were remnants of the Canaanites of the tribe of Nimrod.
We're going to explain that too, why that is.
Who were expelled from Iraq by Yarubi Quatan, and who fled into the west before they proceeded via Egypt and Ethiopia until they came to Yoruba
land.
Okay, and that's parentheses. Assyria was known as the land of Nimrod that revealed where the Yoruba migrated. Note that the Yoruba are considered a Canaanite tribe because they dwelt in Canaan.
So who was in Canaan, right? Because you got this Canaanite tribe from Nimrod is basically why they call them from the tribe of Nimrod is because they're spiritual sons of Nimrod because they kept the Assyrian religion, right? So
So they were Hellenized.
So they were
Canaanites,
right? Right.
Like we're Hellenized Americans,
right? So that's what happened. That's why they're called the children of Lamaruda or the children of Nimrod, right? And they weren't physical children of Nimrod. They can't be a Canaanite tribe and be from the tribe of Nimrod. He's a Cushite.
Right.
So I'm just wanted to point that out. Let's go to Psalms 106:5 real quick.
All right, let me get out of this. Is it Psalms
105. He said that they were Canaanite tribe because they dwelt in Canaan, right? So let's see who the land of Canaan was given to.
All right, hold on a second. Psalms 105, but basically it's showing that they were still Hebrewz,
right?
But people would mistaken them for Egyptians,
right? Or Cushites.
Yeah, right. They were mistaken. All right,
mistaken, right? But we're gonna start this at verse 6.
All right, 105, verse 6. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to thousands generations, which covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, unto thee will I give the land of Canaan.
The land of what?
The land of Canaan.
So unto thee I will give the land of Canaan, which is what?
The lot of your inheritance.
So the inheritance of the children of Israel is the land of Canaan, right? So as we're going to see, the Yoruba, not only do they fit all of this, but then they also have the customs and the heritage, circumcision, the Sabbath days, right? And the 3 feasts, right? But we're going to see that this is all collectively done with the people of West Africa, right? Or specifically in the Hebrew land, right? So let us continue. Now we're going to
verse 23.
Verse 23. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You get.
I'm getting ahead of
yeah. I know. I do that too. Israel also came into Egypt,
right?
And Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham.
So what we want to specify is this was going on in the land of Ham or Africa, right? So Northeast Africa was, more specifically, Northeast Africa was the land of Ham, right? Let us keep going. Skip down to verse 27.
Right. They showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham.
Oh, it said it again, the land of Ham. We just want to specify that this is dealing with Africa, right? So let us keep going. My brother, if you would read this right here.
The bottom part?
The bottom part.
All right.
Now we're going to deal with what they call Hebrew land or Hebrewz land, right? Hebrewz land. Because they're not going to be called Hebrewz either. Stop looking for people coming off the boat calling themselves Hebrewz and they didn't speak English. Like that
right.
Right. They were called Hebrewz or, Ivrit, which we're going to find out.
And a lot of them still call themselves that today.
And a lot of them still call. If you go over there and you say Hebrewz, they're going to know who you're talking about. You go over there and say Hebrew, they might still be lost, right? So we want to point out
because it's an English term,
an English terminology, right? So we want to point that out. Keep going. All
right. The geographical area of the slave coast stretched from the Volta River in Ghana to Nigeria. 4 countries, namely Ghana, Togo, Dahomey, and Benin, and Nigeria, now occupy this area.
So the kingdom of Judah that they was talking about is in Benin, or it's more so off the coast of Benin, but it's in Benin. We're going to see what these areas are called, though, right? Let's keep going.
During the slave trade, this one territory was called okay, you got to say that one.
Eve Nigba, or Evre Nigba, right?
All right. As dark as I am, I should know how to say these words. Anyway, Evre Nigbe, which translates in the English as the land of Evo or Eve land.
Evre land.
Yeah, in parentheses, Evre land.
Mm-hmm.
A direct translation of the name of the Israelites is Evre, pronounced Eve or Eve.
Right.
The name Hebrew is an English translation of the name pronounced Eve from Latin. That means the first translation of the name of the Israelites into Latin was the first step.
So the first step of understanding that they're Hebrew, or from the Latin word Hebrewz, is where you get Hebrew, right? Keep going.
This first step dropped and lost the proper pronunciation of Eve, with the proper pronunciation lost in translation.
Right.
And came the second step, which is the new Latin names translation unto what we have now. You will not find slaves calling themselves Hebrew or Evre.
But
Evre. Sorry. Let me read that again.
Right.
You will not find slaves calling themselves Hebrew, but Evre, which was translated to the word Hebrew.
Right. So this is what we're dealing with, right? This is in sub-Saharan Africa. Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, you find Hebrew land.
Move in a little bit.
Right. Hebrew land. I'm sorry. So beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, you find Hebrew land. So now what we're going to do is we're going to now focus on some of these customs real quick, right? So we can read this page. You read all up until what's highlighted.
Just was highlighted?
No,
or
read up until.
Okay. Also, see, you about to make me tongue twist. Also, the Benin Ephraim, children of Ephraim,
right,
from Nigeria, live among the Yoruba nationalities. Their oral history tells that the Benin Ephraim people came from Morocco after the Jews were banished from the Iberian Peninsula sometime in 1492.
Right. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, 1492 when so-called Columbus discovered America, right?
The Benin Ephraim did not settle with the Yoruba by accident or chance. They recalled that a body of their people had departed Canaan in the ancient times and had settled in the present day Yoruba near areas of Nigeria. Just like their own group, Benin Ephraim has settled in Algeria, Spain, and Portugal. So when it happened, they had to leave Iberia in a hurry to protect their lives and freedom. Those Moorish Iberian Jews sailed on their network of ships to Nigeria, Africa.
And it's crazy because it seemed like the Most High was sending everybody down there so that the transatlantic slave trade can just can still happen, right? Because people were in other places, but then went down into Africa, and then it's the prophecy of Deuteronomy 28 and 68 still happened, right?
You know, it almost sounds like this was a part of the Inquisition.
Right.
Because they came about in Spain. Because remember, the Inquisition was the Catholics really coming after Israel, or the original Christians.
Right, which is what the mission.
So it sounded like they were in Spain and they fled too.
Right.
All right, I lost where we was at, man.
We are at where it says.
So when it happened, they had to leave Iberia and freedom. Those Moorish Iberian Jews sailed on their network to ships to Nigeria, Africa, near Lagos amongst the Yoruba. Their relation by blood, their greater nationality.
So their relation by blood, their greater nationality. So the children or the Benin Ephraim that were from the Iberian Peninsula, right? And and this is in the Iberian Peninsula, this is the island of the seas, right? This is part of the island of the seas. So you have that, right? So they went down into Nigeria, into Lagos with the Yoruba, their relation by blood, their greater nationality. So we have other witnesses that went down there besides 3. Right? Let us keep going.
The Yoruba people displayed many Israelite customs.
Right.
Studies have shown that the Yoruba tribe has a prevalence of prevalence of nearly 90% male circumcision through Islam only. Though I need some new glasses. Though Islam only accounts for about a quarter of the population.
So we're not going to get into, well, they because they circumcise because of Islam, right? But there's no specification that Islam circumcises on the 8th day. And this is 90% of their population. So that's one sign, the ultimate sign, circumcision on what day? Keep going, brother.
More interesting, however, is that the male circumcision is done on the 8th day of birth, just like the Israelites.
But who else does that, y'all? Who else does that? Nobody else. Did they get this from Judaism? No, they didn't get this from Judaism. They can been keeping this for thousands and thousands of years. And my brother Ade Dawotola, if he's still on here, he can vouch for that as well.
Yeah, right? You've been awfully quiet, man. You better come on in, man.
Is he still?
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, I didn't want to disturb the lesson. Y'all was getting into it, man. You know, I ain't got to say nothing.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. You
guys are telling my story, man.
Right. I wanted to get into it. And here go, like, we got a person on here now that is a witness to this. Since y'all want to use y'all little fews and twos, we got people too that know who they are according to this book. He's on here. My brother, did you get circumcised on the 8th day?
Yes, I did. And when I got circumcised on the 8th day, my dad admitted to me, he told me that he didn't know that was in the Bible. He said the reason why I got circumcised on the 8th day, because it was a family handed down from generation to generation.
Oh,
for those that did, because I know you going in and out. So I just want to repeat, his father did not know that this was in the Bible. The only reason they were doing it because it's a family tradition handed down generation after generation. Go ahead, Ade.
Yeah, you can go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My connection's going in and out. But yes, it was handed out from generation. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Oh, yeah, like I said, it was handed out from generation. It was handed down from generation to generation as far as the 8th day circumcision. Yes, that's the reason why I got circumcised on the 8th day. Right. My dad made a special request to the hospital, to the doctors, to make sure that I got circumcised on the 8th day. Not all that. Everybody gets a naming ceremony on the same day. Right. To signify that day.
Right, and these are also Israelites.
So that's all part of the same tradition.
So it's amazing that your father never knew what it was about, but just because, it was done to me on the 8th day, I got to do it on the 8th day with my son.
Right.
That tradition, and nobody explained to him this. Now he know this is evidence, urban apologists, of who Israel truly is. Go ahead, bro.
So as you can see, we're not dealing with no pseudo scholarship. I'm reading from these sources, and by the way, these sources are on here. I'm reading from. I'm sorry. Hold on, real quick. Mm-hmm.
You want me to finish up reading this while you looking? So we're gonna finish up reading this origin and customs part. Also, among the Yoruba people, it is a customary for a new mother to be absent from. To be absent from worship for 40 days, childbirth, which is in the Bible.
Y'all see this? Keep going, my brother.
If it is a boy, she takes him for the circumcision on the 8th day and returns home to continue her purification. 40 days after delivery, she comes to the house of God for her Thanksgiving and presents her baby boy or girl before the congregation. This is akin to an old Israelite tradition seen in Leviticus 12. There are the historical accounts that indicate that a Yoruba man would marry his deceased brother's wife. Oh, that's a tradition too.
True. And my brother, would you tell us?
Stop. Chime in on this one. I have a story.
Go
I have
ahead.
a story, right? So my great uncle died, which is my
Say that again.
So my family had a meeting.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I said, so when my great died, my family had a meeting. All the elders of the household. That was my grandfather, all his brothers, and whoever older people that were living at the time. They had a meeting saying, okay, my uncle died. Somebody has to marry his wife to keep his name alive.
Wow.
So what they did was they made my Uncle Joseph, which is my dad's great uncle. They made him, not asked him, they made him marry my other uncle's wife. And they had a son. And they named the son after the deceased uncle. Keep his name and his inheritance alive. That is tradition. That happened. This happened in the 40s. Not a long time ago. This is the 40s when it happened.
40s, y'all hearing this? I hope y'all hearing this, and I hope you urban apologists are hearing this too, because like I said, we got witnesses too.
And it ain't a sin.
And the person, and the baby that was born, of that marriage is still alive. He's still alive.
Y'all, like I said, y'all hearing this? Like undeniable proof, right? Right here on the Walls of Jericho, right? This has nothing to do with any pseudo scholarship. We ain't making stuff up. We got the proof from the documents, and we got people that are witnessing this as well. Right?
And this whole thing that he just got finished speaking about, you can find in Deuteronomy 25.
Right.
So if you want to hear, that whole tradition that God put together.
Right.
This is the Lord. This is Christ.
Jesus.
That put this together. It's in Deuteronomy.
Again.
5. Go ahead, bro.
And again, I want to also say, I got to point this out again, that they did not know that was in the Bible. It was a tradition handed out from generation to generation.
Wow.
Right.
So
wow.
Don't tell me that, they read the Bible and did this. No, this was a tradition that was handed down for generations.
Wow.
That's when I put that out.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Right. So thank you, brother. Go ahead.
I want to make another introduction. We talked about the Sabbath day, right?
Right.
Okay, so my grandfather told me that his because my which is an interesting fact that my dad's side of the family, him being in Nigeria, he'll trace his family back to his great grandfather. After that, we don't know. So the thing about the Sabbath day, do you know the reason why they stopped worship on the day?
Why?
Because the missionaries came and told you guys to stop worshiping your God on the Sabbath on Saturdays, which they were doing before the missionaries got there. After the translated slave trade, they said we will give you food, we'll give you shelter, we give you all this stuff because the translated slave trade destroyed West Africa.
Yeah.
So people are desolate.
Right.
People are starving.
Right.
So of course, in order for them to survive, they did it. They reached out to the missionaries and said, okay, we'll drop Saturday, fine, we'll drop it, and we'll start coming to church on Sunday. And that's the reason why a lot of those countries, I can speak for my family, and it's most people in my tribe. That's the reason why they started worshiping on Sundays, because they were told to, by missionaries.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like to say is to the Kemetic people and to the I'm sorry, bro.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I'd like to say to the Kemetic folks and to NOI Muslim cats or anybody else that says that the Bible was brought to us to make us slaves. The point he's making is what kind of did it. Like this stuff that we knew already, how to serve the Lord.
Right.
But when they brought the Bible, remember they ain't wanting us to even read the thing. And I'm talking about here in America. But they came with the Bible and they told everybody what the Bible was saying.
Right.
So nobody really read it. And once they started reading it, that's when we started really kind of waking up little by little. Like, man, we've been doing this all this time, and it's in the book. This must be our ancestors.
Man.
So yeah, they did bring their traditions to keep us mentally slaved.
Right.
But the Bible alone does not keep us mentally slaved.
Like,
it actually wakes us up.
If the Europeans really taught us the Bible, we should all be scholars. Right. Like, we should all be running around scholars, know everything, and then we got to come back to our people to learn this book. Like that's crazy. That's real crazy. So thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. Unless you got anything you want to add, Ade. Can you hear me, bro?
Not really. Just just let people know that. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
I'm sorry, my connection is really bad. Can you hear me now, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, that's all I wanted to add at that point. So, because my connection is really bad, so I'm just gonna keep listening, and if you guys need me to say something else, let me know.
Okay,
for sure. So y'all heard it from the horse's mouth, people. Like I said, we got witnesses too, and we're gonna keep spilling out more and more witnesses. This is that's not it. That was one witness, right? One actual physical witness. So now we're gonna deal with. Remember, I told y'all they went into the Nile first, and then they went into sub-Saharan Africa. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show evidence that our people were in the Nile after the Battle of Carchemish, right? After the after the Babylonians came down and they took down Judah, right? So what we're gonna do now.
It's in the pictures, right? All right.
Or it's one of the websites.
Okay, so hold on a minute, people.
So what we're gonna do while he's doing that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna show that there was a Judean marriage contract that archaeologists have found.
You talking about this one?
Yeah.
Which one? These four?
Hold on, bear with us, fam.
This one is this one. This is the book. Oh, I didn't get the website, so.
Well, never mind. We didn't pull it up, but we don't need it. We still have other stuff we didn't pull up. So now what we're gonna do? Matter of fact, pull up the pull up that stuff. We're gonna do this. So we're going back to the Yoruba. Right, we're gonna finish off with the Yoruba, and then we're gonna bring in these other tribes. So this is the book where this is stemming from, if y'all can see it, right? And this is from Lieutenant Forbes BM. This is from a lieutenant. It's called African Blockade, the 6-month service of the African Blockade from April to October 1848, right? So you can go to page 27. Let's go.
27?
Okay. So I want to point this out. So page 27 says, as proof, we're going to read what's highlighted. As proof of this, the Akus and Yorubas, the Akus, another name for Yoruba is the Akus, are said to be a very worst class of idolaters. Y'all hear that? Oh, is that another curse?
Serving other gods.
Serving other gods. It says the worst class of idolaters, and certainly the greatest traffickers and slaves of the whole coast. And that's another thing. Israel.
Man.
Israel did sell Israel. You know, we'll get into that. That's another topic. We'll get into that later.
I got a lesson. I got a lesson. It's already on my YouTube. We'll probably do another one.
Right, we'll probably do another one.
But it's called The Signs of Israel, Our Dirty Laundry.
Right.
Go check that out. Go ahead.
Since you see these Yoruba, that don't mean they Hamites, y'all. Our people got down and dirty in the slave trade too. This is exactly why we are not here to say, oh, were we blaming the other nations for putting us in our position? We helped them put us in this position.
Yes.
So this is to the urban apologists. You got people that acknowledge that we were in on the slave trade, because I know sometimes they'll throw in little they'll try to use the Hebrew words to show in Deuteronomy 28:68 that we sold ourselves in the slave trade. Well, we're not denying that, so it doesn't even matter.
I'll give you. Let's get a witness. Amos 2 and verse 6. Because this is the other thing that I always like to talk about. The fact that we always pointing fingers at everybody else, but won't point it at ourselves. Them dirty Hamites, them dirty whoever. But we did things to ourselves that got us in more trouble too. Read verse 6 in Amos 2.
Amos 2 and verse 6. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Israel and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they sold the righteous for silver and the poor for a pair of shoes.
Yeah, we sold ourselves too. All right. Now our buyers, when you go to Deuteronomy 28:68, people bought us, but a lot of our people, and this isn't going so we don't turn against our own brothers,
right?
You know, but a lot of them were selling us because they didn't want to get sold.
Right. That's it. That's it.
And the result of that, let's go to Jeremiah 29, and then I'm gonna let you finish, man. I don't want to take it over. Okay.
We got the time.
Jeremiah 29. Because of the result of us being scared to be sold off as slaves, and they sold us over here, the Lord has something for them too. Let's start at 14 to establish that this is the Lord. Go ahead, bro.
Jeremiah 29 and verse 14. And I will be found of you, saith the Lord, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations
around the world where he scattered us.
Right, all the nations, not just Egypt.
Right,
and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive.
Keep reading.
Because ye have said, the Lord hath raised us up prophets in Babylon.
Keep reading.
Know that thus saith the Lord of the king that sitteth upon the throne of David, and of all the people that dwelleth in this city, and of all your brethren that are not gone forth with you in captivity.
He's talking to us about our brethren that didn't go out in captivity.
Right.
Remember, Brother Cassious here has been showing the migration from Israel to the West Coast.
Right.
All right. Now he's speaking to those on the West Coast who didn't go into captivity. Read now, 17.
Verse 17. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will send upon them the sword.
Man, the sword be going all through Africa. Yeah. You think we got it bad here? I saw videos where Hamites had thrown a whole bunch of people in a pit and set them on fire.
Right. Man.
We know about the war. What was that? The million Hebrewz got killed?
Yeah.
Keep reading.
The famine.
The famine. USA for Africa. It's the famines that go on there is bad. This is happening to them because they didn't go into captivity. Keep reading.
And the pestilence. And I will make them like vile figs that cannot be eaten. They are so evil.
So yeah, our Hebrew brothers was helping the Hamites because they didn't want to get sold to the Hamites or the Gentiles. Keep reading.
And I will persecute them with the sword, with the famine, and with the pestilence.
This is the Lord doing this to our brothers back in Africa.
Right.
So for you urban apologists, how are you going to explain this one? Keep reading.
And I will deliver them to be removed to all the kingdoms of the earth, to be a curse,
yes,
and an astonishment, and a hissing, and a reproach among all the nations whither I have driven them.
Why? Verse 19.
Because they have not hearkened to my word, saith the Lord, which I sent unto them by my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them, but ye would not hear, saith the Lord.
So just because our brothers and this is the dirty laundry that no one ever wants to talk about. Yes, our own people sold us. And this right here, the Lord is saying, you ain't getting away with that either. I got something for you too.
Right.
Because you didn't go into captivity. It's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I got something for you.
Right.
And he letting them have it, man. So back to my brother's lesson. It just came across me to talk
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
good. That's good. I like that. So now what we're gonna do is, remember I said we established we couldn't do the Judean marriage contract, but that's okay. We got so many sources. We don't.
You want me to come out of this?
Yeah, you. Oh no, we gotta continue with this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Now go to the next one.
Which page?
Verse 15.
Oh, the verse page 15. There you go.
So I'm sorry. It's so much. We getting ahead of ourselves. So now we got the Akuz, page 15 on the African blockade. The Akuz are the Jews of Africa. Didn't it just say they were Yoruba? Now it's saying that they are the Jews of Africa, and many of them having amazed fortunes return to their country. They more frequently become converts to Mohammedanism, which is Islam, than Christianity. The former offering a plurality of wives. You know, our brothers love that, right?
Yeah.
We're not condoning that. By the way,
It's not a sin.
it's not a sin though.
Yeah.
And dealing in charms and the marvelous accords better with their ideas, right? So we're establishing that Akuz are the Jews of Africa, but they're also called Yorubas. Y'all see how that works?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we can continue. We can stop right there with that one.
Okay.
The other one is not important. Now,
Okay.
now we going back. They said that we're in the Nile Valley, right? In the Nile Valley. So what we're gonna do is, who was in the Nile Valley, right? Who was in the Nile Valley? Because you had us in Egypt and in Ethiopia. But who was in the Nile Valley? Those would be the Falashas, right? Another group called the Falashas, right? So I want you to read this. This is from a book called The Jews of Africa by Sidney Mendelsohn.
All right. Okay. All right.
So,
All right, what you need me to read?
So right here. The Jews of Africa.
Where at? Where you?
Start right there.
Ooh, I'm doing all this?
Yeah.
Ooh, boy. Not because you got your videos too.
Yeah.
Okay. Notwithstanding the dispersion of the Falashas, many of them still live together in villages in various parts of Abyssinia.
Right.
All right. As well as in the larger towns. Writing early in the 19th century, Gobat, one of the emissaries of the Church Missionary Society, remarks that the Falashas live so retired and are so separated from the Christians that the latter know scarcely anything either of their doctrines or of their manners.
Right. So we're just establishing it. You know what? We're not, to save time, we're not going to get into this.
Okay. All right.
So to save time, the Falashas
That's the book.
Right. That's the book. So what we read was from page page 27. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So that's what we read from. Page 27 shows you that the Falashas, not the Talmudic Judaism, right? Because we want to separate them too. The Falashas for thousands of years, they're keeping circumcision on the 8th day, they're keeping the Sabbath day, and keeping all the 3 annual feasts. Right? That's what we want to point out. We showed my brother that the Yoruba keep the circumcision on the 8th day, right? So now we're going to move into the Ashanti. The Ashanti. Right? So we're going to go to this book called The Negro Question by Lee Cummings, right? The Negro Question by Lee Cummings. And some of these books, they'll ridicule as if this stuff is not in here, right? So we're going to start at page 127, right? We're going to get some back history before we get into it, right?
Based on the images taken from the tombs, DNA, artifacts, the Bible, and the secret airlifts of Ethiopian Jews, the Negro is none other than the original Jew.
Mm-hmm.
The law of darkness was used exclusively against us so that by not reading and doing our own studies, we would never come into the knowledge of self.
Mm-hmm.
The second question that was raised was his origination. The so-called Negro in America did not originate in Africa,
All right.
but had his origination in Mesopotamia,
right,
and the land of the black-headed people. Black-headed people. Okay.
Mhm.
Our father Abraham crossed over from Mesopotamia, meaning the meaning of the word Hebrew, into Canaan, and there our fathers were born, Isaac and Jacob, and from Jacob's loins came 12 tribes, and from his 12 sons the whole of Israel. We had colonies in Alexandria, Carthage, Cyrene, and Elephantine.
So now we can use this. This is where we were in the Nile Valley in Egypt. We were in these provinces, and then we were in Abyssinia, Meroe, the things that we show with the maps with the others. Keep going.
The black Jewish colonies descended into Africa during times of invasion, such as the Assyrian invasion of 722 BC, the Babylonian invasion 609 BC, based on the images taken from the tombs, DNA BC, the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, the Arab invasion in 64 AD, and the destruction of Jerusalem by Hadrian 132 AD.
So we're going all the way down, seeing that the Israelites been in these provinces for that long, and then they cross over to sub-Saharan Africa, right? Keep going.
It was a form of these invasions that our fathers situated themselves along the west coast, Gold Coast, and Slave Coast of Africa. And from there, our fathers formed one of the greatest black empires that the West fails to teach black children about. The Ashanti Empire.
The Ashanti Empire. Now, hold on. We're gonna.
Oh, okay.
That's the book. That's the book. If you want to do it, let's go to page 23 now.
23.
Okay, we can start right there.
All right. Israel and Africa.
Right.
When Joshua is handing out the inheritance of the children of Israel, he begins to give Judah his inheritance. See Joshua, the 15th chapter, beginning the verse 20 through 42. Emphasis on verse 42 because of the tribe of Judah was given the city of Ashan.
Right.
Next, run to Joshua 19, verse 7. To Simeon was given the inheritance of Ashan. Next, let's examine 1 Chronicles 6, 50 through 59. To the Levite was given the inheritance of Ashan with her suburbs.
So all of this stuff, if y'all see this, all of this stuff is in the Bible. The tribes are in the Bible, right? Let's keep going.
So we have 3 tribes mentioned in the Bible whose dwelling was in Ashan in the land of Judah, which was a tribe located in West Nigeria called the Ashanti. The T denoting the people of Ashan. Historically, the Ashanti Empire fought wars against the British kidnapping empire and won some and lost some.
All right, keep going. Go to the next page. So now we're reading that.
All right, but there is a picture taken. Excuse me, but there is a picture taken from the London Times in the year 1848 by Senior Henry M. Stanley. This picture shows Ashanti priests crossing the Pra River in Nigeria. With the cap of his head, he reads "Holy to Yahweh," which is YHWH. Right. It's either Yahweh or Yahweh. And a breastplate on his chest with 12 stones on it, which is the
ephod.
The ephod, right?
The ephod. So the next page. So you got 12 stones on the ephod, and then we're gonna get the description.
Man, I gotta get some pictures of this, man.
Yeah.
Breastplate stones.
Right.
The breastplate and bonnet can be found in the law of Moses. Exodus 28, 1, verse 2, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. The breastplate, 2 onyx stones, and the names of the 12 tribes of Israel.
So we had all of this before the transatlantic slave trade, y'all. I just want you to understand that we kept these customs before the transatlantic slave trade, right? Keep going, brother.
The circumcising of the sons of the 8th day. See Genesis 17.
There go another sign. The Ashanti do the circumcision on the 8th day. Then they also have the breastplate or the ephod of the priest, right? Keep going.
The circumcision was given to Abraham as an everlasting covenant, and to the so-called barbaric tribes of Africa embraced the covenant of the Almighty. This is undisputable evidence of the great cover-up that the Europeans knew who we were as early as 1800 AD.
So this is the great cover-up, which it seems these urban apologists seem to be part of the cover-up, right?
Psalms 83.
Psalms 83, what we just read. Continue, my brother.
And have deliberately hidden the truth from 42 million so-called Negroes. This would also mean the Ashanti priests had knowledge of the scriptures before they came into the shores of the Americas.
Right. So you can stop right there.
Okay.
So now what we're going to do now, so we did circumcision, right? We see all these other little stuff that's going on, right? So what we're going to deal with, did the Ashantis keep the Sabbath day?
Oh, I'm going to take our day out. Okay.
Right?
All right.
Did the Ashantis keep the Sabbath day? Let's go find that out. So now we're going to a book called Sabbath Roots, The African Connection by Charles E. Bradford, right? And I just want you to read, excuse me, my brother, I want you to read from here.
All right.
1471. You stop at 14.
He said people asking for references. So we're showing the references because
we're showing the references right now, right?
Yeah. All right, let me get it back in here. Okay. Okay, you say start where? Hold on, let me show the book.
So the book, Sabbath Day Roots by Charles E. Bradford.
Okay.
Right. The other one was the Negro Question by Lee Cummings, right? So you can start right here and stop at 1471.
All right. Kofi Sweetu Mensa, an Ashanti Guyanian, notes oral traditions and the modern scholars of the research into Akan traditions and customs affirm Saturday as
Anyami
Kwame special day in Akan land. Writing in the early 20s, Rata, the British anthropologist, discovered that the Ashanti name for God is Ayami or Ayanakapan.
Right. So who is Anyankapan Kwame, right? Or Ayankapan Kwame or Anyame, right? Keep going, my brother.
Whose day of service is a Saturday.
So Ayankapan Kwame's day of service was a Saturday, just like my brother said about the Yoruba, just like we're showing with the Ashanti, right? Circumcision, in the Sabbath day, right? Keep going.
Adding that this Ashanti God is the same as Jehovah of the Israelites,
right?
Whom they worshipped on the Sabbath or Saturday.
Now, how long were they keeping this? My brother, go ahead and read.
The Akan peoples of Ghana worshipped the Creator on Saturday, long before the first Portuguese ship anchored off the coast of 1471.
So we don't have colonization as far as historically until the 1800s. So this was long before 1471, right? Long before. So y'all got to understand, we had this. This was undeniable. What were we doing before we got off the slave ship? We was Hebrewz. We was Hebrewz, right? We was keeping circumcision on the 8th day. We was keeping the Sabbath day. We were keeping the 3 feasts. And we're going to go into more of that with these videos. Now we can get into the video.
Man, do you remember the group Poor Righteous Teachers?
Yeah.
Remember that line that brother said? Assalamu alaikum, walaikum assalam. A universal greeting from the people of Akan.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? And these people have been our people all this time. You can find even Yorubas and Ashantis. You can find them all over. You can find them Jamaica, Barbados, the islands, the Caribbean, all of that stuff, and the Americas, right? The Igbos too. And then we'll be dealing with the Gandangbe lastly. So now we'll go to the
which one?
The return of Harriet Relatives.
This one?
Relatives of Harriet.
Right.
So we're gonna get into the relatives of Harriet Tubman, who are also witnesses of this, right?
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So we are Prophetic Whirlwind is live from the 2017 Homo Festival in Philadelphia.
We're gonna start this at 2:14, so y'all we can
because we can break down time.
right. Yeah, that's good.
And something came to us earlier about who we were, and that we were direct
Okay, I'm messing up here.
descendants. My family is direct descendants from Harriet Tubman, and she's from the same area that this tribe is visiting. Philadelphia is from.
I must be having slow connections. Gotta be having slow connections. You know what this is? They called
And
their
so
friends.
we had to come and worship.
They called their friends and said, "Slow down, they stream."
We're super excited. It's just a thrill right now to be a part of this whole celebration.
And so, brother and sister, what was Harriet Tubman's name before she changed her name to Harriet? And what significance does that have to us as Hebrews?
Her name was, before she changed her name, after she ran away, her name was Araminta Ross. And Araminta is a Hebrew name. Her family knew that they were from the Ashanti tribe, and which is now part of Ghana, and that they were Hebrew. They did have Hebrew names before they were in slavery.
Thank you so much.
And as we read a little bit, you can find the Ashanti tribe actually in the Old Testament. The Ashant, I believe it's Ashant, which is now interpreted in Shantae. So yeah, so it was really exciting to find someone that is actually our descendant who is Hebrew and from right out of the book.
Thank you. And anything else you want to say about being?
So you got Harriet Tubman's relatives confirming that she's from the Ashanti tribe, and that they're at this festival called the Homo Festival, which actually is Passover and unleavened bread. So now we can get into this other Ashanti.
All right, let me make sure it's up. That's what I thought.
So as you can see, brothers and sisters, we have been doing this for a long time, and the scriptures point to us being Israel, and we're coming from these tribes. There's other tribes we're coming from. We'll get into that later, but these are the main tribes.
Okay, we'll play this one.
Yeah, play this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, can we take that again?
Okay.
Now, and speak up.
Okay, so I'm Akwasi Wache Damkwa. You can easily call me Prince. Work at Michelle Palace Museum as a tour guide. Asantis we are talking about here migrate from Israel and the Mesopotamia. Right.
Wait a minute. He said they migrated from where?
They migrated from what?
Yeah, let's go back. Let's go back.
I want y'all to hear this and pay attention.
In the Mesopotamia. Right. That was somewhere in the 14th century. Right. And Asantis are currently located in Ghana, West Africa. It's the largest tribe here in Ghana. And Asantis were of individual states which came together to form the Asante Kingdom. They started fighting, expanding the kingdom to Togo, Ivory Coast, and Burkina Faso. Talking about the neighboring country here in West Africa. And Asantis we are talking about here is the largest tribe in Ghana. That makes Asante the king, the 2-4 the second currently, the most influential person here in the country, Ghana.
Thank you so much. And do you know what led them to migrate from Israel? Did something happen?
Yes. The Asantis were much interested in agriculture businesses. They were looking for land, fertile lands I'm talking about, for plantations. So through that, the Asantis migrated to current West Africa, where they felt very comfortable through their migration.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so now we got this. This guy is a tour guide to the Royal Palace and Museums in Ghana. Oh, we got witnesses. Shout out to Prophetic Whirlwind, because since y'all seem to not know, we got Hebrewz that go over to West Africa and ask the chiefs and the elders that know who they are, ask them about our oral traditions and things of that nature. Go to Prophetic Whirlwind. Go to her and ask her to go to the same people she go to and show that these people are saying that we're not Israel. You can't go to 3 village people and think that's gonna be cool, right? So now we're gonna go to the last video, which we're dealing with one of our beloved brothers, Rabbi Kwete, and he's going to explain the point of view from the Gandangbe tribe, who actually hold these 3 the 3 feasts, and he's going to explain to you what they're called, what the gods call them. So,
all right.
Ghana is 60 years old today, and is the right time to sit back and learn about our origins. Why? History is the teacher of life, and those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Deuteronomy 32:7 tells us, remember the days of old, reflect upon the years of other generations. Ask your father, and he will tell you, your elders, and they will inform you. Most of our parents are actually older than Ghana, so we should ask them, so they inform us about the past as the Torah commands. I had the opportunity to do this with my father not too long ago, and the wealth of information about our origins was quite breathtaking. Since I'm a Ghana, I'm going to be talking about the Gandangbes of Ghana. We, the Ghanas of Ghana, are Hebrewz. We are Hebrew Israelites. A little education before the history lesson. When I say I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I am saying I'm not a Jew, and I am saying I don't practice Judaism. I'm going to define my terms now. Most people incorrectly associate the term Jew with Israel. While Jews are Israelites, not all Israelites are Jews. This is very clear in scripture, yet it is one of the many misconceptions Christians tend to have. The word Hebrew in the original tongue, Ivri, is used for the first time in the Torah to describe Abraham, Genesis 14:13. This is our original name, Hebrew, Ivri. Another name used for us is children of Israel or Israelites, which refers to the fact that we are descendants of Jacob, who was also called Israel. The word Jew in Hebrew, Yehudi, is derived from the name Judah, which was the name of one of Jacob's 12 sons. Judah was the ancestor of one of the tribes of Israel, which was named after him. Likewise, the word Judaism really means Judaism, that is, the ism, the religion of Yehudi. Since I'm not from the tribe of Judah, I'm not a Jew, and I don't practice the ism of the Yehudi. Also, being a Hebrew does not mean I belong to a religious group. God did not send Moses to bring us out of Mizraim, Egypt, to start a religion. Read your Bibles very carefully. You will be to me a kingdom of priests, not a religion of priests or a religious groups of priests. We are a people, we are a nation. Just as Akan, Ashanti, Ewe are not religious groups, so too a Hebrew or a Jew is not a religious group. Then it will mean that studying the Torah is not a religious activity, but rather a cultural obligation. Now to history. Deuteronomy 28:64 tells us, and the Lord will scatter you among all the nations, from one end of the earth to the other. And there you will serve other deities unknown to you, or your forefathers, deities of wood and stone. The gods of Ghana are evidence of this 3,700-year-old prophecy. We, the Gans, are direct descendants of the Hebrew Israelites that migrated to West Africa by way of Egypt to the Gold Coast, modern Ghana. We migrated from Israel, having been exiled by the Assyrians about the 6th century BC, through Egypt, then to Ethiopia, where we settled in northern Ethiopia, where the Blue Nile originates. That is where the name Nai Wulumo comes from. Nai Wulumo means the high priest of the Nile. The Assyrians attacked us again while we were in Ethiopia. So from Ethiopia, we traveled through southern Sudan and settled in the period of time in Niger and then Nigeria. We migrated again and settled at Dahomey and later traveled to Togo, where we stayed briefly. From Togo, we traveled to the eastern banks of the River Volta, where we then crossed the River Volta at a place between the Old Bon and Akuse and established settlements on the plains. Later, we migrated to the plains between Lolovo and Osudoku Hills. This is why we guys say Wogbejeke, meaning we are from far. We know that Jacob had 12 sons, Reuben, Simon, Levi, and Judah from Leah, then Joseph and Benjamin from Rahel, Gad and Asher from Zilpah, Dan and Naphtali from Bilhah. We, the Gads, are descendants of the 5th and 7th sons of Jacob, Dan and Gad. That's our name, Gad Dangbe. Gad Dangbe. When we look at our customs, there are striking parallels. Our custom of circumcision of our male born, our Aldoran sanctification, what we call Bojemo, and the naming of our newly born on the 8th day after birth is in accordance with ancient Hebrew customs. We, the Gads, have 3 great annual feasts, festivals, if you would call them so, namely Homowo, Mayeli, and Mato. In the Torah, Homowo is the feast of Pesach and unleavened bread, what the church calls Passover. That is why there's no leaven in our Pokpoe. Mayeli is the feast of weeks, Shavuot, what the church calls Pentecost. Mato is the feast of ingathering, that is Tabernacles or Sukkot. In traditional Gamashi and other areas of Greater Accra, we the Gads used to paint the doorpost of our houses with the blood of the lamb during the Homowo festival. An unlearned mind will call this pagan. This was done to remember what the angel of God told Moses to ask the Israelites to do when they were under the bondage of Pharaoh in Mizraim. This is exactly what we do during the Homowo festival. Yes, we had to replace the blood of the lamb with the red mud when the lamb became too expensive for most Ghanaians to afford. But it's not pagan at all. The ancestors of the Ga people are from long, long ago, Hebrew Israelites from the tribe of Gad and Dan. We have been miseducated to the extent that everything in our own culture is regarded as primitive or pagan, and many of our so-called educated people are victims of such psychological confusion. They unfortunately regard their self-esteem as violated if they are found to have anything to do with primitive languages instead of speaking foreign languages parrot-wise. We can trace this problem to the current pessimistic stance that the church as a whole has towards the Ghanaian local tradition. It is seen as something very backward and demonic. All that is Ghanaian is seen as evil. Not at all. Remember what Moses tells us. Remember the days of old. Reflect upon the years of other generations. Ask your father, and he will tell you. Your elders, and they will inform you. I'm proud to be a Ghanaian. I'm proud to be a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Gad and Dan. Tra Omanye Abba.
All right. As you can see, he just broke it down, as I couldn't do better than that. But once again, you have circumcision on the 8th day, and you have the 3 feasts, the annual feasts that keep these and been keeping these for thousands of years. Remember, he said 3,700 years, y'all. 3,700 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. And this ain't got nothing to do with conversion or nothing of that nature. You don't have any signs of conversion into the Persian captivity and eventually the Greek captivity with the Edomites. So that's out the question. These people have oral tradition going back to the Assyrian captivity, the Babylonian captivity, right? So now, my brother, you want the
Now go finish up. I'm gonna do this last.
So we're gonna do this last. So I'm gonna go to one more place before he gets in it, right? Let's go to Isaiah 11:11. Isaiah 11:11.
And we got 10 minutes before our elder starts. So
right.
We're gonna try to make this quick. 11:11.
11:11.
And it shall come to pass. You want me to start at 10?
Yeah, start at verse 10.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse. This is talking about when the Lord is coming back.
Right.
All right.
Second coming.
In that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. And it shall, and to it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
Right.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall send his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria.
So we know we started in Assyria, right? Keep going.
And from Egypt.
From Egypt, they went into the Nile, right? Go, keep going.
From Pathros.
This is also in Egypt.
From Cush.
Cush is Ethiopia or Meroe. And you're also dealing with the Sudan in this case. And keep going.
From Elam. From Shinar.
Shinar will be Mesopotamia, right? Keep going.
From Hamath. And from the islands of the sea.
So the island of the seas would be the Mediterranean, and then the islands over here, the Caribbean, the Americas, and all that. So remember, we saw that these Moorish Iberian Jews went down there to the Yorubas because they knew that they were their relation by blood. Island of the seas. Y'all see that? Keep going, my brother.
Verse 12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
And this is regardless of whether you want this to happen or not. This is going to happen. And these are all of the provinces that we have been showing through the Bible and through secular history and oral tradition that these are the Israelites. These are the Israelites, brothers and sisters. Now, you want to add something to that? That's all I have.
All right. So I thank first of all, let me thank you for coming out.
All praises to the Most High.
He representing the Walls of Jericho, which is
shout out to my brothers, the Walls of Jericho.
Go and shout them all out.
Ade Ben Judah Dawotola, thank you for coming on here. You just made this like even more solid than it was going to be anyway. Of course, to the brother in Israel, Yisrael. We're going to keep making these moves, my brother. Let's keep doing what we're doing and take down all these naysayers, gainsayers, and unruly and vain talkers and deceivers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And shout out to my brother Mike. Mike
just got baptized last week.
Baptized, came under the blood. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
That's our baby feedback.
Oh, okay. So I thought he was gonna say something, but anyway. Okay. So go ahead, my brother. Hello.
Go ahead, Ade.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. I don't know if you guys said this, because my connection been going in and out. Well, I'll let you know that that God also has their tradition that started in the Oyo Empire.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to point that out.
So the gods, all their tradition started in
They
oh, go ahead, my brother. Go ahead. You can explain it.
they have oral tradition that links them to the Oyo Empire. And as we know, I just want to drop this little jewel right now. And we know that the Gadites were known as the warriors, correct?
Yes, sir.
Guess what? The Oyo Empire is known as the military base of the Yoruba kingdom.
Wow.
And that's where the gods came from.
And that's where
I just wanted to drop that real quick.
All right. You see that jewel that was just dropped?
I'm done.
You see what I'm saying?
Mic drop.
You said what now, bro? Oh, mic drop.
I'm just dropping my mic.
Okay. All right. So the gods came from the Oyo Empire, and as you can see, the gods from Rabbi Kwete said they was Gadites, and that they were the military base in the Oyo Empire. Right. So my beloved brother is going to take over from here, and I just want to say all praises to the Most High Elohim, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Holy One of Israel, who is Jesus. Tune in Mondays. We are going to continue the Walls of Jericho lessons on Mondays
on your page,
on my page. Cassious Israel on my page at 7:00 p.m.
All right, I'd like to throw in one scripture. We probably won't get through the whole chapter because I only got 5 minutes before my elder starts teaching and before everybody drops and leaves me. So let's all go to Ezekiel 37. I want these urban Christian apologists, whoever that say that we're not Israel, I need you to understand the Lord is going to do something here, and if you're going against it, you're fighting against the Lord. I'm just letting you know. You're fighting against Christ. Go and start reading verse 1. We're gonna probably skip through some things. But go ahead.
This is Ezekiel 37 and verse 1. The hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones.
Now we've all been taught, even in Sunday churches, the valley of the dry bones.
Right.
But we're gonna learn who this valley of the dry bones is about. Go ahead and read, bro.
Verse 2, and caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry.
Keep reading.
And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. Verse 4, again he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord.
So he's got to tell the dry bones the word of the Lord. That's this book. Keep reading.
Verse 6, and I will lay sinews upon you.
Verse 7.
Verse 7.
Yeah.
So I prophesied.
I'm sorry, verse 5. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Verse 5. Yeah. Thus saith the Lord God unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live.
Keep reading.
And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
So these dry bones gonna get not only skin and flesh and muscle and all of that stuff, but he's gonna breathe life into them the same way he breathed into the breath of life into Adam.
Right.
But this is spiritually, he's gonna breathe back into his people.
Right.
We're gonna prove that it's his people. Keep reading.
Verse 8. And when I
verse 7.
And I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when I beheld, lo, and the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them.
So they were still dead. These bones got the flesh, got everything on them, blood, all that, but it was still a dead body because it didn't have the breath of the Lord on them. Keep reading.
Verse 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live.
Just like in the garden, he put the breath of life on Adam. Now he gonna put it on these dry bones that have flesh on them. Now keep reading.
So where am I? 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army.
So they stood up because now they live, right?
Right.
Who is this? Go read, brother.
Verse 11.
Mhm.
Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel.
No, it's the whole world.
The whole house of Israel.
Come on, man. You ain't the Martians?
The whole house of Israel.
This is the house of Israel that he's bringing alive again. When everybody reads about these dry bones, you know, those that call themselves Gentiles, this is about the house of Israel. And if you're a flesh and blood house of Israel, but you're calling yourself a Gentile, you're still asleep.
Right.
And you have to wake up. Keep reading.
Therefore, what, verse 11?
Yeah.
Then he said unto me, oh, no, I'm sorry.
Just start from 11 again.
Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts.
I'm going to let y'all read the rest of this on your own because it's 12 o'clock. But to my urban and Christian apologists, you better get with this program because the Lord is the one that's waking us up again. We've been dry bones all this time. And now, because the end is coming, he's waking up them dry bones. He's breathing life into us. And you're fighting against it. And some of you guys are actually physical Israel, but you're allowing other nations to let you believe that you're Gentiles.
Right.
And so you're fighting against God. This is going to happen whether you like it or not. No matter how you fight it, it's still going to happen. You need to be on the right side of God because fighting against his people, I understand why y'all go against One West.
Right.
We go against One West in some things too.
Right.
But y'all better but calling the rest of us more dangerous, man, you fighting against the Lord.
Oh, you can see why we more dangerous. And like I say, man, we're not gonna let misinformation cloud the minds of our people, man.
Right.
We gonna give this to our people. They're gonna know who they are. If they choose to want to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments and become a saint themselves, this is how we're gonna get out of captivity.
Right.
That's all I gotta say on that one.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get up off here because I know he probably done started already. So thank y'all for tuning in. Like, share, watch party, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we give all praise and glory to the Father in the mighty name of Jesus. Happy Sabbath.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake! Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake!